These are just flowers.
No one in history has had special treatment like you.
I ate before I came.
Oh, I don't mind a lapsed expiration date.
Check me out.
I mean, seriously, we're an album cover waiting to happen.
The road changes for the Coven.
The road isn't subtle. What happens next?
You heard it up top. Get ready to wiggle those fingers. Get ready to twitch that nose. Things are about to get a little magical here on this podcast as we return to the marvelous Marvel machine to cover the Disney Plus original series, Agatha All Along, here on Normies Like Us with your hosts, Mr. Scratch Colin. Colin Scratch.
Colin Scratch. I'll be Mikey Maximov.
And this is the Crimson Jacob.
Ooh.
Yeah, really. Try
Really? So what's up, witches?
Well, you can see by our color coding, you're Agatha coded right now. I'm
Yes, I have
Wanda
all
coded.
my purple, and then Colin, if you're watching at home,
shirt. Oh shit,
Salem,
Sure,
Massachusetts.
Salem.
Mm-hmm.
that's right.
So
We're talking all
Okay.
about witches today. Spooky season continues, you could say, into November.
yeah, that's true. Going down the witches' road.
Down
Agatha All
there.
Along, formerly known as Coven of Chaos, I think when it
Well,
was
it
announced.
had a couple different names they were going through, and I don't know if that was just a marketing gimmick or they just couldn't decide a name, so they decided to publicly reveal them all. But it was like Agatha Darkhold Diaries, Agatha House of Harkness, Agatha Coven of Chaos, and then
Right.
finally they landed on Agatha All Along, which I would argue is not the best title. But we'll get
I would
into it.
argue that maybe it is, but we'll have to get there at the end of the episode.
Can I reveal this is one of those rare things that we never get to do? This is one of the last ones I'll ever get to do because we're hitting the end of my run here. But I worked on this show. I worked for a company that provided
Right.
a bunch of props and items to this show, particularly. And Jacob, not only did I live through the month check-ins from my contact going, actually, it's called this now, and it's
Oh.
this, where they would constantly do that. I can also tell you guys the working title, which was Poison Apple, which I thought was really cool when they first pitched it. So,
Interesting.
Snow
like
White,
the
a little
witch
Snow White
gives
homage.
Snow White, which maybe there's some references to that in here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But let me just start by saying this episode was my idea.
Yes, it
I'll
was.
take credit for it. I had to convince you guys to watch this show.
Yes, you did.
And I have mixed feelings about it, but ultimately probably positive feelings, I'll say up top, but we're going to get into it.
We will. Before we do that, I guess, let me ask you guys, what is your history with Agatha Harkness in the Marvel Universe? I don't expect deep answers there, but I will remind you all that, of course, we did see her in a different show 3 years ago, WandaVision, which we
Never
did do
heard
an
of it.
episode on.
Yes.
Right.
Go back and listen to that, normies. Fun fact about the WandaVision episode, that was our first YouTube video version episode that we produced.
That's
So,
right. Because we were
There you
leading
go,
into the
back in
TV bit.
2020.
Wow.
It was also,
Heavy
like
COVID era.
early COVID. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yep. Interesting.
And that was the
And
show
yeah.
that kicked off the Disney Plus MCU streaming era.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think generally we all like that show, more or less,
Yeah,
And
I think it's in the top of all those streaming shows. I gave you guys a list. We'll talk about it that I did of all a ranking of all the Marvel streaming shows. Some of them good, some of them not so good, right?
right.
But this one, you guys were not planning to watch, of course. But Agatha, I will say, Agatha Harkness, not a character I'm super familiar with. But if you remember on Awatcha, I did talk about this game I was playing called Marvel's Midnight Suns.
Mhm.
And
Right.
Agatha is a
It
character in that.
returns.
And actually, she's Ghost Agatha in that as well.
Oh, spoiler.
Well, yes, we
Wow.
should say spoiler alert for all the spoilers in Agatha All Along.
Mhm.
But she was a ghost in that, and there's a lot about, because that game was all about like the magic side of Marvel, and it was set in like Salem, and
That's
this
right.
old abandoned abbey was like your home base. So
That's
it's very, it's very involved with Agatha and Wanda,
Wow.
but she's more of a good character in that game. Like she's not even like an anti-hero. She's just a straight up good character. So I don't know if there's different versions of her in the comics. Like sometimes she's more good, sometimes she's more bad. But obviously in this, she's evil, right? She kills a lot of people.
Yes, and
Right.
hold on, because Mike, I obviously want your history with Agatha Harkness, and I expect it to be as deep as Jacob's. I also want to
Yes.
hear if you've rewatched WandaVision at all. But
Good
Jacob, do
question.
you fight the Salem 7 or whatever it is in that game?
No.
Okay,
But the main villain in that game is Lilith, the mother of all demons,
sure.
who is also like who's like, I think either Agatha's sister. I think Agatha's sister in that game at least.
Girlfriend?
Or girlfriend. I don't remember, but she turned evil like a long time ago, became Lilith, the mother of all demons. And she's actually your mother, the POV character, called the Slayer or something. I don't remember what you're called, but you're like a demon
Okay.
slayer. And you were
Buffy's
created
gonna
like,
sue the shit out of you. There's
Mhm.
not a
yeah, it can't be
chance
the
you're called
Slayer.
the Slayer.
Right.
The Hunter,
That's
that's what
funny.
it was.
The
Very
Hunter.
generic
Right.
name, but it's a great game. You should all play it. Obviously,
I don't
it's
know
got
about
great
that.
storytelling.
That's wild.
You
I
can
like the
join a book
dating sim
club with
aspects.
Blade. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Incredible.
mean, who wouldn't want to do that?
Well, the dating sim is sort of accurate to some of Agatha All Along, but
Right.
I've talked on this podcast how I had just one Spider-Man comic, and then of course every single appearance of Agatha Harkness in comic book history.
Yeah.
That was the one thing I collected.
True.
Yeah. Didn't know anything about her until WandaVision. I think she was like one of the more entertaining parts of that show.
Yeah.
The antagonist of that show, and then obviously the famous Agatha All Along song, which is probably why they named it that. They're like, that was very
Well, yes,
popular.
it is a reference to WandaVision in that
Yeah.
song, which was sort of a breakout hit, I guess, on the internet and stuff. But we can discuss the title and stuff. I would argue that it's not that descriptive of like what happens in this show. Although I guess you could make an argument that with the reveals at the end, it kind of is thematically fitting now that I think about it. But I just we'll talk about it. I don't want to get too.
It's not a great
Yeah.
title. That's how I unfortunately feel. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Fair,
just a
fair, fair.
reference to WandaVision, so they're reminding you of WandaVision. But I think in some ways this show is at its weakest when it's like reminding you of WandaVision, and that's why I didn't like certain aspects, which we'll talk about.
Interesting. So maybe the Coven or House of Harkness or one of the other 7 titles,
Yeah, something
Could've been
more
used, maybe.
just general about Agatha. I just feel like it doesn't explain the show at all, or it should be called Agatha: The Witch's Road or something like that.
Wow.
Yes.
Honestly.
To steal, we'll again. We said we'll talk about it 5,000 times. I know that's annoying podcast listeners.
I love to
But
say what we're talking about.
when we jump into the plot of the episode, I'll head off now and say that a friend of the podcast, Joe, was saying to me his entire pitch was this should just be a Halloween special, like that werewolf thing. And to mirror what he said, yeah, it should just be an hour and a half long thing called The Witch's Road, and that would be great.
Maybe, but at the same time, I don't know if you could fit everything they did with this story into an hour and a half. It would have to be severely trimmed. So maybe you think it would be better that way. But I would argue maybe there's too much story in this season to do in a special.
I guess that's a big part of what we will be discussing. But before we jump in there, Colin, I do want to ask, when you're delivering props, was anything spoiled? Like, ooh, look at this doohickey, or was it all very hush-hush?
No, and something I've been thinking a lot about recently, because Jacob mentioned Penguin, another show that's a superhero show going on in the background, Off Pod, starring Colin Farrell. I also worked for that Apple TV show with Colin Farrell called Sugar. Are you guys aware of what that is?
Sugar.
No. What's bring me up to speed?
So
Sounds
I won't
sweet.
say anything about it, actually, but I'll just say that to answer your question, Mike, that is a show that has an insane twist, and I would urge both of you to look that up separately on your own and just enjoy it. And to show you that how weird the industry is that I would just get these texts of like, your thing's going to be in this scene. Oh, I can't tell you what it's about, but this thing's going to break the world when it, fucking comes out. Like, that's how insane people work with those twists. Work with Marvel, they're secretive. They don't tell you anything. But, they also, on this, it just didn't seem like they cared too much either. So
It's interesting you say that it would break the world, considering I've never heard of the show before.
Yeah, of course. That is the ultimate irony.
I am intrigued, though, by now the famous sugar twist, as it shall be known.
Hey,
going
I love
forward.
my sugar twist.
Jacob, you should love it.
Best kind of donut. But that's fitting because Agatha, the writing of this show and the plotting, how this show kind of breaks down, is that it is very reliant on these twists that reveal more about the show than you were expecting, maybe, and kind of change what happened earlier in the show or change your perspective on it. So I'm excited to talk about that, after the show.
Super quick before we dive in, just the last question I had about rewatching WandaVision.
Oh, yeah.
Again, just to reiterate, it's been 3 years. TV takes too long to make.
Mhm.
Have any of us rewatched it?
No, and that was kind of a problem watching this show, trying to remember what happened in WandaVision. But eventually it made sense to me.
Yeah. I didn't watch a recap or anything, but I did remember enough of the general gist of what Agatha was trying to do and steal power. Same thing she wants to do now. So
Right.
But yeah. And you didn't rewatch it either, Colin, right?
No, I did not.
Okay. Well, in that case, there's this door here. Should we open it up and go down the road?
Didn't sing yet. I don't know how there's a door.
Say, Mike, the only way to make that door appear. Let's hear it.
Down the road. Down the witch's road. All right.
Wait, Jacob, you don't play the drums, do you?
I all of a sudden know how to.
Oh, man. We're an album cover waiting to happen.
That's right. Down the road. It's a catchy song,
Unfortunately.
It's an earworm in that it's burrowing through my brain.
There's an earworm in the rotten apple, down the witch's road. Yeah, we're back.
We're back, and there's a very prominent song in this show, we'll say, that we all love, of course. It's our favorite song, and it does get stuck in your head to the point where I was just repeating the chorus of that song in my head for like days at a time, so that was really fun. Yeah.
Here's a question. How many versions of this song are there in the show? How many different versions appear?
Mike, when one of the characters says to another character, well, your mother recorded the definitive edition of this song, right. I truly out loud said, oh, come on now.
Yes.
Well,
do you have a guess, Jacob? How many times? How many different versions exist?
I'll say 4 that I can think of.
Well, I'll have you know, in 9 episodes, we have 8 different versions.
Right, if you're counting each version, like in the last episode, there's sort of a montage of different versions, right? So
they have their chanting one, they have the old timey one. Yeah, So this song is very prevalent, I guess.
And I like this song, and I'll tell you why. Because
oh, man, please do.
It's number 1, it is catchy. Number 2, it's integral to the plot in a way that you don't even realize at first. Like the first time you hear the song, you're like, okay, that was weird that they did a song, but I think more shows should have songs, first of all.
Okay.
More shows should be centered around a song being a part of their plot. But by the end of it, you're like, it all, and this is my compliment to the writing, is that it all fits together by the end of it. Like there's the last couple of episodes of the show, I think, are the strongest, and they really make the first half better, I think. So, and that song is a part of the plot in a way that's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think I texted while I was watching this off pod, and I said, guys, this song, it is too long. And then you guys buckle up. So yeah, by the end though, I do agree. Yeah. I like some of the writing and how the last couple episodes make the first half of the show improved, but I also have an issue that it took until episode 6 for me to really care at all. Sure. It shouldn't take 6 episodes for me to buy in.
Yeah.
So that was
this is my experience watching the show, which I recounted to you guys in our chat, and I said, I watched the first episode, didn't like the first episode, wasn't into it, because I just didn't like. It starts with, of course, this sort of detective show parody thing that it's doing, where it's connected to WandaVision, where Agatha is still stuck in a spell of Wanda's, where she thinks she's in a detective show. Yeah, and that takes up the whole episode. And I just was like, I don't care about this. It's just a waste of time. Let's just get to the story of the show, which basically starts at the end of the first episode and into the second episode, where the story of this show really kicks off. And I was like, we didn't need that first 40 minutes. It was a complete waste of time to me. And then when I watched the second episode, I was like, okay, this is getting better. I like this. And by the third episode, I was like, when they get to the Witch's Road and the trials and everything, that's when I was really like, this is pretty interesting. And then, of course, by the last 3 or 4 episodes, there's all these twists and reveals and stuff that make it a more interesting show to me. And so that's it kind of just got better and better. But it doesn't start off with the best. Like it doesn't
Foot
put its
forward.
best foot forward, right?
Colin, how did
So
you
that's
feel?
my experience. I don't know how you guys felt.
And specifically that first episode is a Mayor of Easttown parody, which just feels so absolutely dated. Like SNL did that very famous Woder Doder sketch like 2 years ago at this point. Like again, it's just
it's
the
kind
rate
of every
that
show.
made.
There's so many like hour-long cop drama type shows where there's some kind of mystery they have to investigate in a small town or something.
True
like a True Detective, yeah.
True Detective.
You could easily say. But look, here's my opinion on all this. And to rewind, and then I want to hear yours as well, Mike. But to frame where Mike and I are at, because Jacob, you said, "Oh, I'll take ownership for this episode or whatever," right?
Yeah.
The history of Marvel TV is that on this podcast, the last episode we covered was Echo, a show that we all agreed felt extremely slight. And then the follow-up was this thing, Agatha All Along, which was a sequel series.
Or
to
Loki,
like
Loki
breakouts.
season 2 come before Echo or after Echo? Because
I believe before Echo.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
So it's just been a while since Marvel TV's felt important. Mike and I were both like slight, dumb, probably going to pass on this one. And Jacob, you insisted and said, "Well, I think it's worth doing a show." We have success talking Marvel. Like it's always good on this podcast to cover Marvel stuff. So I'm never going to fight you on that.
And this is the first new Marvel. Like they've been slower. They've sort of taken notes from the audience of being like, okay, we're kind of getting Marvel fatigue. They've been slowing down the releases with movies and streaming and stuff. So this is like the first new project since Deadpool versus Wolverine.
Yeah, which of course has been extremely popular.
Yeah, and that's barely Marvel. It's really like a Fox send-up, if anything.
Right.
It's a Ryan Reynolds movie.
Right.
A Marvel coat of paint on it. But I put on that first episode when you kind of said it was maybe you hadn't even said it was interesting yet. It might have been just to your reaction to that first episode where I was like, oh well, whatever, I'll try it too. And I mean it was almost like an anti thing for me. It almost felt like combative in how quickly I turned off that first episode. But if you hadn't said to watch it, I wouldn't have gone through with it. So
and I didn't want to talk about this after the first episode. I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to finish it now. And I watched the Penguin first episode and this first episode like at the same day, and I was higher on the Penguin episode. But since then, I haven't even gone back and finished Penguin yet because I've been doing other things. But I kept up with this show. I was like, I'll give it another episode, see what happens. And I was just getting more and more into it. So then I was eventually like, maybe we should do an episode on it. But then basically I had to convince you guys to actually go through with watching it.
You did.
You cursed us. You threatened to curse. You said, I will place a curse upon me.
You put a hex on Mike and I can't actually remember Mike's name until this very second. So thank you for releasing him. But I had the same reaction you did, Jacob, where turned off on that first one and then very slowly coming around to, I gotta say, I left at a very comfortable place where this is an extremely watchable show. This is a very smart show. I think it's incredibly well written, like you're saying, but I also agree with you. Its weaknesses are when it's a sequel series to WandaVision. And also, I think it just has its own trouble fitting into the Marvel thing where truly by the end of this, I'm like, so who was the villain? Like, I'm kind of like raising my eyebrow. And what it wants you to say is like, Agatha. It was Agatha all along. And I want to just be like, right, no, I know. But like, what was all this about? And that's whatever. But Mike, please tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, I do like the fact that like we're making 9 episodes to just have a joke that's like, it was Agatha all along. Get it? Like I like that they went to the effort to do something that silly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a rough start. And again, it wasn't until like episode 6 when we started getting the flashbacks to where like, oh, this is kind of how everything's tying together, where I was like, oh, so it is more clever than it was letting on in the early episodes. So I appreciate that element to the writing a lot. I just think there's some superfluous characters. Like I like the general flashback stuff, but I'm with Colin that it could be an hour and a half, 2 hour special. I didn't love every witch's individual trial. Like it felt like here's 5 bottle episodes, but when it is working, I find it very enjoyable.
That's the concert, Mike. Come on.
Yeah, her whole arc could be cut.
No.
In my opinion. But her mom recorded the song.
We love, we love that song. It's our favorite song.
Oh no, I have 4
I don't
versions of it for this podcast, by the way.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
It's interesting because the show from like episodes 2 to 5 feels like a different show than 6 through 9,
Correct.
where it gets more serious and you're like, oh, this is what it's really about. But it was 2 through 5 that kind of got me into it, where I was like, this isn't like my favorite show ever, but it's watchable, and I like the witch stuff, the Witch's Road, the trials. Like I thought that was all fun.
A bunch of escape
I like all
rooms.
the characters.
It's
yeah,
like
and I
the
can
end of Harry
understand why
Potter.
some of them. Yeah, some of them are weaker than others, but you need a full coven, of course, as we know.
Here's what
You
we
don't.
learned. And also, which divination do you guys think you are? I think obviously I'm potions. I'm drinking a bunch of goofy things.
I feel like I would probably be like the tarot, mind reading or future telling person.
I guess I'm the musical witch. I'd be the protection.
You're the protection witch, yeah.
Explain what that witch
need a
does.
green witch.
She's
a protection witch. What do you mean?
She was a cop. She protects people.
She just makes the salt circles. Like, is that what protection means?
I guess.
I don't know. But you need like the 4 corners of the circle and everything. You need a green witch, obviously.
Oh, I guess the 5 corners or the pentagram. What? All right. Witchcraft. Yeah. Okay.
And I just watched The Craft, the movie The Craft, which they needed 4 people, so I don't know which one's the real.
The 5 makes sense because of the symbol.
Pentagram.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I have such issues with organized religion. I'm not positive I would ever join a coven. It would be so hard for me to just
get into Wiccan?
listen to someone.
You don't want to get into Wicca?
Wicca?
I don't know.
Wikipedia? Check it out. Learn whatever you can.
That's what that movie's about, right? Wicca, the musical. Wicca?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about the WikiLeaks case.
Right. But
yeah.
Yeah, so you need your full coven, of course. But again, the story of the song is interesting by the 9th episode, where you're like, oh, that's kind of genius. And the 7th episode, which I want to talk about as well, was my favorite episode.
Really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 7 in particular, I thought was like, it worked really well as a standalone. I mean, you probably shouldn't watch it just as a standalone, because certain things probably won't make sense if you don't watch the first 6 episodes, but just as a standalone episode of TV, I thought it had really strong writing.
We got spoilers. Remind me what happens in 7.
So that's the Lilia episod,
that's the time loop.
Flashbacking through different parts of time. She's unstuck in time, right? Like, if you've ever read the book Slaughterhouse-5 by Kurt Vonnegut, that's where it kind of reminded me of, where she's flashing around to different parts of her time. And of course, there's a bunch of foreshadowing leading up to this, where you think she's, going senile or something. She keeps having these weird moments where she's saying stuff that doesn't make sense. And then by the end of it all fits together. And I thought, that's really good writing. I really like that. But it's a slow burn, because by the time you get to some of these reveals, you're like, wait, what happened in the first couple episodes? And it makes it better, but also, again, it doesn't start as strong as it could.
Yeah, I I don't know what I expected going into it, really, as a sequel to WandaVision, right? Certainly, gay road trip pseudo musical was not on my bingo card, but you know what? It is fun when it works.
And Mike, that is what I want to talk about. I would say, regardless of how any of us feel about this property or how it inspired us, how we felt about it while viewing it or whatever, all the criticisms that have ever existed are, well, if you're going to do these shared comic book universes, they should all feel different and unique and distinct, blah, blah. Well, not the Marvel ones. They're so exactly the same. Now, here's the thing. There is no other Marvel property like this one. There's no Marvel property as gay as this one. And I'm saying that not in the 90s way. I'm saying that this is a extremely queer-coded show, and that's fucking incredible. From the House of Mouse.
Right. We have a trans rights matter flag in the background. Like, it's for real. Yeah.
It's obviously, it's very gay. I mean, several of the main characters are gay. Like the main 2, I think. Or at least, Agatha is bisexual, I guess, or she'll just...
I would say lesbian. People would bring up the existence of her son, but I think full-on lesbian. I don't know.
In an affair with death, of course. Spoiler alert.
And then our main character, Teen.
Teen.
As well.
We love Teen.
We love Teen.
Gay.
Yep.
He's a little twink, but I kind of did expect this tone and everything, maybe because I was just paying more attention to the sort of the marketing and stuff leading up to it, where I was like, I mean, they're kind of billing it as being very gay and stuff, but also I was like, are they just saying that to like
Yeah.
hit their wokeness quota or whatever? But
Yeah, no, this
I
is
yeah, and actually, again, the episodes 2 through 5 is kind of what got me into it because I just thought it was like a fun hangout show where I like all these different characters. Maybe some of them are less important, like the Protection Witch is probably my least favorite storyline, but I just
Mhm.
liked all the characters. I liked their interactions together. And I was like, I like them just kind of doing these trials and trying to make it through this witch's road. And then it takes a turn and it does get darker and more sort of a downer at the end, but in an interesting way where I'm like,
Mhm.
that was, that's better than I expected it to be.
Right. And I mean, one thing I have to say is I'm upset that we did not get someone doing a line read of "Witch, please" in this show. Just, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like
Witch,
three
please.
different shows where you have the setup and then like kind of the end of Harry Potter 1, the trials sequence, and then there's all the big reveals and the tail end.
Yeah.
And there is
Yeah.
nothing like this tonally, Colin. I agree with you there. So
Yeah, I would say
it's kind of carved out its own space.
A super gay Wizard of Oz send up.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
A lot of
So
costume
they're constantly
changes.
referencing different things. Yeah, they have different fun costumes in the bottle like you said, it's like 5 bottle episodes in a row. But I
Mhm.
kind of like the different trials and them trying to scheme their way out of it and use they're obviously they're all limited in some way because like you have a bound witch who can't use magic. You have Agatha who's lost her powers and can't do magic. So they kind of
Mhm.
need to figure out ways to do it where they can't just use magic to get out of things.
It's like escape rooms, like I said earlier, and I kind of liked that. Like we have little
Yeah.
puzzles for each room, and they get
dog.
cute little outfits every time. Like that is fun and different. I guess.
Basically, every episode is an escape room, Mike. That's a very interesting structure that they do. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. It's a bunch of
It's
bottle
good.
episodes, and then you have the interactions within the group where it's like you don't really know anyone's true motives, especially Agatha. And
Mhm.
the whole character of Agatha is interesting because I like her. I like Catherine Hahn, the actress. I like her portrayal, but she's an interesting character because again, she's so like she's basically the show keeps telling you she's bad, she's irredeemable, but then they also want you to like her as the
Mhm.
protagonist of the show. So it's an interesting kind of dichotomy where she never really, I guess by the end, she's had some kind of growth or redemption, but she's still just like unabashedly killing people just to gain more power. And she never really changes from that.
Right. And she has to walk that line, Catherine Hahn, honestly, of being likable and dastardly. And I think, yeah, in that way, she does a good job because I'm never sure if I fully like her or despise her. It's like I'm kind of
Yeah.
torn at all times.
She is the most self-serving character we have had since Tom Hiddleston's first performance as Loki.
Yeah.
We have
And that's
not
what,
come back
True.
around to that. He has not come back around.
right.
So.
And that's
No.
what kind of she reminded me of is Loki before like all his growth as a character and stuff, where it's like I like her, I like you, like you're fun, but also you're like evil. So I don't know if I can trust you. Like obviously I can't
Right.
trust you, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's hinted at, everyone's like, oh, we know Agatha's super evil. Like the Coven doesn't want to be a part of this at first. Everyone's kind of resistant. And they're like, oh, she like gave her own child away. There's all these rumors about like the lengths she'll go to. And when we get kind of those reveals later too, it's like, whoa, this is like she's done some bad stuff, but
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about that specifically for a second. I guess I won't reveal too many of them. We can do it as we go. But Jacob talked about how the structure of this show is kind of based around twists. I'll
Yeah.
again say that I think the strength of the show is the writing.
Yeah.
And that the twist seems so purposeful to mislead you in a very interesting way. All the setup of what did she do with Nicholas Scratch, with you thinking the entire time, is the teen Nick supposed to be Nicholas Scratch? Is he
Right.
this other character? Yes, you focus and realize he is, but you're meant to keep your mind going. Rio is introduced. You go, something's going on with Rio. This is a lot more. But
Yeah.
when it pulls your eye away to look at these smaller mysteries that the good writing is going to answer for you and carry you through with, it takes your eye to gaze where the ending is such a surprise. When it is quote unquote Agatha All Along, you're like, wait, that's what this show has been about? And it's almost them going like, it was, we gotcha, pull the rope,
Yeah.
see ya.
I think that really worked for me.
Yeah.
but episode to episode, yeah, each episode ends with some kind of reveal, some kind of cliffhanger that's like, oh, that leads you into wanting to watch the next one. Because you're like, I want to see what happens next. And that's good TV writing where each episode feels like its own mini arc. And by the end of it, you're like, oh shit, I got to see the next one.
It's good streaming writing because TV writers used to write for the commercials. They used to have to write to go like, who just shot that gun? And then, we'll be right back after Kellogg says, and, it's an exciting moment comes back. But now, because they want you to watch the next episode, which is rarely available, instead every episode ends with, isn't that right, Billy? Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
And you're like,
well, let's talk about the different spoilers or different reveals, and if they worked on you, or if you expected them.
Yeah,
like
it's
what level
pretty
you
hard to
expected
discuss
them,
it
right?
otherwise. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Well, so of course in the first episode we have the detective drama. Oh, surprise, she's actually Agatha Harkness. She kind of gets the spell broken, and then Rio shows up, Aubrey Plaza's character, who we don't really know anything about. And is like, she wants to kill Agatha, and they also hint at like having a prior relationship or something. Again, it's kind of throwing stuff at you in the beginning where it's like, I don't understand any of this, but by the end of it all makes sense, right?
Yeah. So then she basically convinced Aubrey Plaza, who wants to kill her. It's like, yo, look, I don't even have my powers right now. Like, just let me get my powers, and then like we'll do this.
And then it'll
thing.
be worth fighting me or something.
Right.
So the second episode is her. So she meets the teen at the.
I know what you almost just called him.
Right.
How dare you?
He's breaking into her house. She thinks she's a detective, though, and she catches him. One of the greatest lines of this that I legitimately laughed out loud is when she has him taped up, and then she drags him back to the closet, and he's like, "I don't want to go back in the closet." I was like, "That's very funny."
That's good.
And this is Joe Locke, the actor. How do you guys feel about him? He's in this show called Heartstoppers, which is sort of a gay romance show that has a big cult following, I guess.
And when you're saying, Jacob, that you kind of realized through the marketing that is what this show would sort of be about, I guess I should have paid more attention to that. It seemed like his casting was so intentional, and now he's done so many interviews where they're like, they told me on set, gay it up, basically, like just just be as out and as loud and as proud as I can be. I'm not familiar with that show, so this is my first time seeing this young man, and I thought he was perfect casting for this part. This is you're just writing to the strength of an actor, honestly.
Of course, we don't know his identity at first. He has a sigil placed on him, so he can't, even when asked about his identity, it just kind of blurs out his mouth. You can't hear what he's saying, so they just call him Teen through a lot of the show. He's just a teen.
And I'd like, because it is like generally a bunch of like middle-age-ish women and this teen. Yeah. And like that the dynamic to mainly be Catherine Hahn and teen. Like it works really well actually to have, just this one young character who has to hold his own against all these other actresses in the show. And I think he does a great job with the chemistry and everything.
Yeah, it was sort of like from the marketing, it was pitched sort of as a show for the girls and gays, which maybe we're not the main target audience for a show like this, but I enjoyed it. And
if it's not made for me, it doesn't mean I won't like it.
Yeah.
Or can't like it.
Yeah, I love the cast. Like I think the cast of this show is really strong. Like the characterization of each character. Again, even Alice, the Protectionist, is probably my least favorite just from a story standpoint. But I thought the actress was fine, and I really liked Patti LuPone as Lilia. I thought she was my favorite character. Agatha is great, and of course, so this character Teen, we don't know his identity. That's kind of one of the big mysteries of the show, where it's like, who is this kid? We go into the second episode. They're putting the band together, so to speak. Basically, I'll back up. Teen wants to walk the Witch's Road, which everyone, of course, knows this thing called the Witch's Road, which is some sort of concept that witches can find this road, and if they get to the end of it, they get whatever prize that they wanted, right?
Yeah.
And just to stop you real quick, because this is where I'm like a little bit to the writing where it's got some Marvel, too much Marvel DNA going on. They have to include all these ticking clocks. Mike already brought up Rio is hunting Agatha. Let her get her power back. That's
the Salem 7.
The Salem 7 are now mentioned, where it's, well, these people that, now that they know you're back, they're going to come too. And so when Billy's like, we need to walk the Witch's Road, and that's the thing to alleviate these issues, it's one of those things where knowing what the plot is later, I'm like, Wait, so what was all that? Was all that real? Did he make the Salem 7? Did they all really
Well,
exist? Did
yeah,
Death make the Salem 7? Why did
yeah.
Death push all this to happen, basically?
I believe the Salem 7 were former witches that Agatha killed long
Right.
ago in her scheme that's
They're
revealed to her at
living
the end.
children. She kept the children alive,
Right,
they say.
right. So
Hmm.
they all have it out for Agatha, which a lot of people just do because she's done a lot of bad things in her life.
Right.
Um, but of course everyone knows, to summon the door to the Witch's Road, you have to have a full coven. So we're putting the band together. We're
Yeah.
getting our different witches, and so that's where we meet our supporting characters. Lilia, Jen, and Alice are the three witches.
Hmm.
Lilia's like an older
Like
future teller,
divination. Yeah.
divination. She does tarot. Um, Jen is a bound witch, which she's the potions witch, but she was bound by someone long ago, so she can't use her powers because she's, controlled by someone else or something. So she wants her powers back, right? She wants
Yeah,
to be
and like
unbound.
yeah, everybody basically has their own reason for going down the road. Like the soothsayer kind of
Yeah,
has fallen from grace and wants to get her old glory back, and the other lady wants her
right.
powers back, and the cop character, the protection witch, is like, I want to know what happened to my mom. So they all have their own
Yeah,
Hey,
kind of reasons.
hold on, here's something I'm putting together.
Yeah.
Trelawney, divination. Snape, potions.
Mm-hmm.
Protections against the dark arts. Is that
Yeah.
yeah.
technically what this woman
Defense
is, I
against the dark
guess?
arts. Yeah, she's that.
And the green witch is kind of like the herbology, like
Sure.
Yeah,
using
yeah.
plants and stuff, right?
Which there's a class for
So
that too.
Yeah,
yeah,
great.
pretty typical witch stuff.
Right. Fair, fair, fair. And then
But
they
the Alice character, her mother was like a famous rock star, like basically like Stevie Nicks or something,
yeah.
and she, like you said, she recorded the most well-known version of the ballad, which is the ballad that describes the Witch's Road and how to get there and like all that stuff, which is a traditional ballad that's been passed on for years and years, and witches seem to think it's like a real thing, that the Witch's Road is real and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so yeah.
Can I throw a curveball at you guys? What do these ladies do that Doctor Strange doesn't do?
What do they
I
do?
guess
that
it's
he
just a different
doesn't
kind
do?
of magic. I don't know. I mean, you're talking about, I guess it goes back to, there's different kinds of magic within the Marvel universe, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I'm
don't know.
not really sure. But in my subtitles, magic was always spelled CK. I don't know if that's important.
Hmm.
Is that like
Well,
a
there's the
branded
X-Men
type of
character
magic?
Magic, which again you can play.
Anya Taylor-Joy, she fought a ghost bear.
Yeah, you can play Marvel Midnight Suns and learn all about magic. The character
So
who's
that's
spelled
Majik, right?
no, that's Magick, I believe.
The character? I can't remember how it's spelled.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
It's
Well,
Russian, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this magic, but we do have the band together, and we have to sing an uncut version of The Witch's Road, which is long. It's very long.
I like this because, again, first of all, it's a catchy song. Two, I like the idea of witches having to do like an incantation to like have the door appear and stuff. Like, it made sense from a plot
Mhm.
perspective for me. And people compare it to like the song from The Acolyte, right? That had a song that was sung by
My
space
other favorite
witches.
song.
We are one, now we're two.
Yeah,
To the
I
power
like
of
this
Double
song
two.
better.
barricaded Ashley.
Wow.
This song was better though because it had more importance to the plot, and it was just a better song, I thought. And I like when they're doing the harmonies and stuff. I thought that was pretty fun.
But I am realizing, with you saying that, Mike, how closely related these are. Two bad pilots that lead into very interesting series.
Yeah, I can agree
fair.
with that.
Yeah,
But I think this is better than The Acolyte overall, probably.
Right. Oh yeah, I agree 100,000%. But
I like the
Interesting.
in D&D, spells have verbal components. So having a song that is magic, like that makes sense to me. That's
yeah, it's an
totally fine.
incantation. Like if there's a there's a certain kind of magic that involves like songs and chanting and things like that. So
Harmonics.
Yeah.
And in D&D, there are differences between wizards and warlocks and sorcerers. You're right, Mike. I'll accept.
Yeah, well, Earthbender,
And Agatha,
Firebender.
of course, is all about chaos magic, or Wanda's using chaos magic in WandaVision, and she wants to get her magic. And Agatha's whole thing
you can't bring up any of that stuff, Doc. I don't remember. I don't recall any of that.
Well, the important thing is that Agatha's whole thing is that she basically just acts annoying until people attack her. And then once you attack her with magic, she can steal your power. That's her power, is that she can steal your magic but only if you attack her first.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
So she has to basically egg you into initiating a fight, and then she steals your power.
I bet you won't. I bet you won't. I bet you won't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's her whole bit.
And that's what I guess she was trying to do to Wanda, to
Yep.
get Wanda's power, and now she's trying to do that to, other witches.
Right. And when she's trying to egg them on, like, it's not working. She gets frustrated and goes back to her old bits. But then, lo and behold, hold on a second. There's a door here now. And we get the reveal that, they did open the Witch's Road. And that's...
So the Witch's Road, Agatha claims to have walked the Witch's Road before, which I guess no other witch has, or no other witch that's alive.
Made
or whatever.
It out alive. Yeah.
Alice's mom, again, Lorna Wu, is the rock star that sings the road, and as she kind of reveals, is she was trying to open the door to the road by doing these concerts and performances and stuff.
Her audience was her coven.
I hated that line.
Boy,
they're not all witches.
Yeah. Wild.
That's like Taylor Swift. Her audience is her coven. Yeah.
Right.
That's
what
for
I'm
real.
worried about.
Made it remind me of like Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood Mac, but
it's
like no one knows actually how to get to the road, because maybe it's not even real. We don't. It's kind of just a thing of legend, so no one really knows the perfect way to get there. So they're all trying to get there, right? But except Agatha claims to know, so that's why this coven joins her, and all these different witches kind of have to be convinced to join. Like they're all very skeptical of Agatha, of course, because she
Did we say that they joined because the Witch's Road grants your wish?
Yes.
Yeah. By the end of it, you get your prize, which is whatever you were looking for, or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, we can't forget
heart,
Susan
the
Davis.
brain, the way home.
Yeah, it is the Wizard of Oz.
I mean, they walk a brick road, dude. It's called the Witch's Road the entire time. Yeah, I would say
where they're
that's
dressed.
True.
They're dressed as different pop culture witches at one point, right?
Yeah, Glinda the Good Witch.
Yeah.
Yep. Wicked Witch.
Wicked,
yeah.
Elphaba.
Yeah, I don't know what that.
That's her name in Wicked.
Oh, nice. Okay, see, I'm not that tenured, but
you're saying I'm wicked. You're calling me wicked smart right now. Is that what
wicked smart?
Wicked smart.
We are in Salem, Massachusetts, right? Probably. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, they gather the coven. They chant the song. They sing the song. They go down the road, and of course, we have the ticking clock of the Salem 7 are attacking, pushing them towards going to the road. Yeah. Agatha is very surprised that the road even appears, right? So the door to the road. But they go down, and now they're in the Witch's Road. We also forgot to mention there's the mom from that 70s show who was in
Deborah Jo Rupp.
Yeah, yes. Susan Davis.
Or Susan Davis. Who's that?
No, darling. It's actually Susan Davis.
Yeah, which...
and I think she's really fun when she's in it. Like, she's not in it that long, right? Because, spoiler alert, she dies, but
it
pretty
reminds me a lot of WandaVision, where you got what's his name, Randall Park, is that right?
Yeah.
And Kat Dennings, where you were kind of like, what is this? And Marvel very cynically was like, it's not just us closing out contracts because we make you sign, for 3 or 4 things. Trust us. Wink, wink. So when they were like, well, Deborah Jo Rupp's going to be in this, I remember being like, why? What does that mean? It's, it's going to be revealed she was a witch too. It's going to be this and that. When it's as simple a fact as Agatha goes outside and talks to her neighbor, the woman who still lives next to her, I was in my mind like, oh yeah, that's why she's in this. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, right. She's still in Westview because she was recently under a spell. So a lot of the actors that were in WandaVision as the townspeople do appear in sort of cameo roles in this. They've been recently lifted from the spell, so they're probably just trying to go back to their normal lives. We even get a really fun cameo later from a certain Quicksilver type character, right? A very fast character.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
Boy, did I like that. That's an interesting thing to think about.
There's a couple references to that, actually. The T-shirt, I remember. Anyway.
But so this character obviously was in WandaVision, and they need Green Witch to complete the circle, right? To open the door. They can't find a green. So she's like, oh, we'll get her. She's gardening. That's sort of green.
Close enough.
And Agatha, as we learn later, she doesn't really care if she's a witch or not. It's not really that important to what she's trying to do. So Yeah, so she's in it. She's not in it very long though, because she dies in like the third episode. I
After
believe.
like the first trial, right? I believe
Yeah,
we do the like the beach house is
yeah,
the
the
first
wine.
trial. Yeah, the
Yeah.
wine, the poison and stuff. So,
So basically, they get to the Witch's Road. It's sort of a yellow brick road type of thing. It's this sort of mystical land, and
yep,
they arrive at these different trials, which they sort of get locked in an escape room, like you said. And there's some kind of, in each one, I believe, is for one of the witches. So the first one is Jen's.
for potions.
Uh,
Yep.
Shasir Zamata plays Jen, formerly of SNL. That's what I know her from
Oh,
mainly.
okay, yeah.
But yeah.
So
Um,
recently came out as a lesbian.
Oh,
Right on.
didn't
Good for you.
know that either.
All right, Jen.
Yeah, and I like her. She's the bound witch. She's doing potions, and we sort of learn she's running like a cosmetics company as a modern day witch, right? Which
Yes.
is cool.
Yep. And so,
They say something at one point. I thought this was pretty pointed, given that Pepper Potts is a woman in this universe. But they
yeah,
say, "Get that jade egg out of your pussy" or something, don't they?
yeah.
Yeah, it's
They
basically
make
goop.
fun of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is pretty,
Goop.
yeah, very funny to
Um,
bring that up.
I was saying like with the marketing of the show being very gay too, like not only from the Joe Locke casting, but also they were really pitching the Aubrey Plaza, the Rio
Mm,
Agatha relationship was a
right.
big part of the marketing. We're like, you don't understand. This show is so gay. Like these women are in a relationship and
It's
stuff.
the gayest shit you've
Yeah.
ever seen.
Yeah,
You don't
You're not
understand.
ready.
This is gay.
yeah.
Right.
Which
Okay, well,
should we talk about Aubrey Plaza too?
yes, a great time because she comes in and replaces Deborah Jo Rupp as the Green Witch. They say
That's
this
right.
is Rio.
That's right. Because
Yes, the
Mrs.
original
Davis
Green Witch,
dies
you
due
might
to the
say.
potion mishap. So then we get
Yeah,
Rio.
which is sad for that character. Like she just got out of this Wanda spell that she was in for a long time, and then she just ends up dying because some witches like trick her into going on some
She
road
said, "You're going to
thing.
go to a party." She said, "This is a terrible party." Yeah.
I keep saying that. On the makeup for their faces for that one scene, I hated that.
Oh, and I
Yeah.
want to mention really quick about the potion trial. Like, again, they're all themed. So this one is very like Desperate Housewives. Like they have different outfits. They got their
Yes.
wine. It's very,
I love the outfit changes and stuff. Like each
it's fun.
trial reflects its environment, so they all have different outfits. Like that is fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all an
It's
illusion, right? It's all a magic illusion. So
Probably.
it can be
right.
anything.
So then we get Rio joins the squad for the next couple trials.
Rhea joins the squad. Here's the thing. Aubrey Plaza is everywhere right now. She was in that movie about
Yeah.
being like a young lady who talks to herself in the future. My old ass. She's the
That's
old
right.
girl
Oh, I
in
haven't
that.
seen that.
She, of course, just starred in the highest grossing film ever made, Megalopolis. Wait, I'm seeing here. That's wrong.
She played
Right.
WoW Platinum, right? That
That's
was the
right.
character's
Wow,
name.
Platinum.
That's incredible.
She was in The White Lotus season 2, of course. Everyone's still talking about that.
She's having a moment right now, which
And
we all just
seems
brought
like
her
it.
up as the Parks and Rec girl. I've loved her for a long time. I'm sure you guys have as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she
I'm a
was in
fan of
Parks and
hers.
Rec with Catherine Hahn, who was a reoccurring character at times. So they were really kind of playing that relationship up to like even at the premiere, like what's her name showed up, the main character from Parks and Rec. I can't remember the actress's
Amy
name.
Poehler.
Amy Poehler.
No, I think her name's Leslie Nope. It's
Leslie
not an
Knope,
actress, it's a
director of the
actress.
Parks Department,
Right.
right?
No, and the reveal that Rio dated Star-Lord was really shocking too.
Yeah. And of course,
But
this character
I think she's
Rio,
perfect for this.
yeah, very mysterious. She kind of shows up. We don't know anything about her. From what I know, I mean, I'm not a Marvel expert, but I don't know if there's a character called Rio or whatever her last name is, Rio something in Marvel lore, even
It's
like
a Rio Vandal or something like that. So very recently, they've started to expand out that Marvel side while making Scarlet Witch a bigger character and have introduced these other colors, including Rio, who is the Green Witch.
Okay.
Rio Vidal.
Rio Vidal. And I know like Lilia Calderu is a Marvel character, and like these other witches
Alice
are
Wu. Jennifer
Alice
Kale
Wu.
is a pretty big Hell Rider character.
Yeah. And of course, Rio's true identity, which we'll learn later, is also from Marvel lore, but maybe different than because I know one version of this, her character is sort of Thanos is in love with her, right? And
Right.
that's why Thanos is doing what he's doing in the comics. A little bit different than Endgame, but
Right. He
yeah,
wants like to send half of the living things to her as like a big gift.
right, right.
Yeah, as opposed to
Foreshadowing.
like perfect
Yeah.
balance. I guess Deadpool dates her at some point in the comics, something like that.
Yeah, Lady Death. And again, like you just said, she's a personification of death. DC
Yes, that's
universe has the Sandman, where it's this beautiful
Mm.
Susie Sue and the Banshees sort of hot goth chick with a cheery disposition. For Marvel, it's a woman with a skull for a head, and the major arc with her is exactly what you said, Jacob. Thanos is
Thanos
in
is in
love with
love with
her
her.
for all of
Yeah.
Infinity War. I think it's funny and interesting to switch that around and have her obsessed with a witch. I think that's kind of a cool spin on it. But really, that's kind of the only big arc. Yeah, she's the Deadpool stuff is just a joke, Mike. Honestly, I've never
Right.
taken it too seriously. So I don't know where
But
you would go with this character other than
well, it's
this. But
interesting now that she's
Right.
introduced, like she could potentially pop up in other Marvel properties,
yeah.
right? So you think we'll see her again? And what did you think of this reveal? Were you expecting her to be the personification of death, which is the big reveal, one of the big reveals?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I love when they do it because it's in the tarot episode, which we're getting to, and she looks just like the tarot image in that, on the card, and she's got her knife in her hand and stuff, and I was like, ooh, damn, that's good.
Well, even
Nice.
better in the Ouija, the spirit board episode where they spell out "Death is with you" and Aubrey Plaza
Yeah,
laughs.
she laughs. There's a lot of foreshadowing
Right.
like that where it's like looking back. I almost want to rewatch the first half of this show again just
Wow.
to pick up on things that I didn't pick up on, but I don't know if I do because I don't know if I want to watch that first episode again.
Right, right. I think I knew, maybe it was spoiled on the internet before I watched it, that she was Death, but I don't care. And like her
Yeah.
disposition, she's always making like very dry, like kind of morbid humor sometimes, kind of like a Wednesday is her
Yeah.
general humor style. So it was
It
like
makes
perfect for
sense
her to
for
get to
her.
ham it up as a witch. Yeah.
Absolutely. I was like, if Aubrey Plaza is going to join the MCU, this is like the perfect role for her.
Mm-hmm.
Again, maybe it would be cool for her to pop up later, like in an Avengers movie or something.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but in what? But it's like what when Tony died, he saw Aubrey Plaza. Like I don't believe that.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
right.
I again with the misdirects of the show, the whole time you're like, she's so in and out. She's antagonistic to the group. She has this love hate. She gets furious when people don't understand that Agatha is the way she is because of how her mother abused her. Well, was it really abuse? You were trying to kill her. Well, that's blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
You're just so off kilter the whole time, going like, well, she's got to be something. But did I see that she was death coming? No, that's
Mm.
insane.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. And the in-universe logic of, well, I can't remember what character says this. You think about it. Death was the original Green Witch, where you're like, well, what does
Right.
that mean?
Yeah.
Because it's about
yeah,
life and death, and
It's all about cycles. Okay.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
sure.
it makes sense. And then of course,
I feel like
let's
you're
just
out
talk
of the
about
Coven.
the other big reveal before the biggest reveal in the finale. But
Yeah.
this is episode 6 where it flashes back and we see Teen's story, right? And of course, the big reveal
Right.
there is that he is William Kaplan, aka Billy Maximoff, aka Wiccan,
Yeah.
one of Wanda's 2 kids, Billy and Tommy. One is a speedster, one is a magic user.
Who we last saw in not the WandaVision show, but of course, Multiverse of Madness, where the
Right.
entire plot was her going crazy trying to steal real versions of her children she invented.
From a
'Cause-
different
yeah.
universe. Yeah.
Because hers are just kind of floating in the ether or whatever. So he
Hers
ends
were-
up
yeah.
inhabiting William Kaplan, though. Like,
So
After
yeah,
he
through a
died.
series of convoluted events, basically because when Wanda's spell is broken, this teen William Kaplan is coincidentally killed in a car accident, and at that moment Billy Maximoff reincarnates inside of his body, basically, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah. And so he has no memory of his family life because he wasn't. So there's this whole thing at the hospital of his parents worrying if
Yeah.
he's going to be okay. He has psychic abilities. He can hear what they're thinking. So he's kind of tripping out. Like, what's my deal? And that sets him off to
He doesn't
kind of
really know
investigate.
who he is. Is he William Kaplan or is he Billy Maximoff? Um,
Oh yeah. What's my identity? Struggling. What is the message of this show?
yeah,
Right?
Well, yes, and
Yeah. Who am I really?
the Billy Kaplan character, Wiccan, Billy Maximoff, is explicitly one of the probably most out and about gay characters in Marvel Comics. So this is all very
Hmm.
true to that. But also, Mike, it's not just that sort of out narrative. It also gives it this very interesting line it can walk of him basically saying to those people at one point, where I guess Agatha even says this at one point, your real mom. It gives you an adoption narrative of I
Oh
want
yeah.
to find my real parents or whatever. Which again, you're
Mm.
like, oh, that's interesting. Marvel kind of hasn't played in that sandbox yet. Like, I don't know,
yeah.
fuck it, let's see what they do here.
That's true. Yeah.
And also, of course, Agatha, a big thing with her is that it's about motherhood, right? She was a mother
Yes.
before. She
Hmm.
sort of becomes a surrogate mother to Teen as they sort of bond through this Witch's Road trial.
Certainly
Um,
that last scene seems like they are inextricably tied together, like
yeah.
Right.
going forward. So
And of
And
course,
like,
yeah, the big thing is like, oh, she's, everyone thinks she killed her son and stuff, but really she, as we see, had this very loving relationship with her son. And that was kind of the one redeeming thing about her is that she was a good mother and she just wants to be a mother again, right?
right. And Aubrey Plaza Death like basically bent the rules and was like, I gotta take your kid, but I'll give you some time,
Yeah.
basically. And so
So she
but
clearly sees Billy as a surrogate son, even though trying to keep him at odds, length because she also doesn't want to get too close to him. So she just has very conflicted feelings, I guess. And then
yeah.
he has conflicted feelings about her because he's like, I know she's evil, she's done a bunch of bad stuff, but I still like her for some reason and stuff. Um, but
Yeah, and
once
they even
yeah,
they
sorry.
try to swerve like, oh, could this be her son? And
Yeah.
then Rio kind of pulls that out from under her. But
This
yeah,
and the reveal that he's Billy was maybe the least surprising to me because I kind of
right.
and I don't know if I saw it maybe in the marketing or just was spoiled by internet before it happened, but I was like, well, yeah, that's kind of what I expected to happen, I guess.
Yeah.
And again, it's tying back into WandaVision. He wants to find his twin brother, Tommy, who's I guess his consciousness is just like out in the ether and could be reanimated into a body.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah,
and
And
this
like
that's
draws in the central conflict that Rio, aka Death, does not like that he exists, this sort of
yes, he's an
reincarnated
abomination.
person. Yeah.
right, he got a get out of jail free pass. Like, yeah, you shouldn't be here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she
And
wants.
Agatha sees it, as like a way to redo her, she messed up with her son Nicholas Scratch, so she wants to, kind of redo that, I guess. It's a second
If
chance
I
for her.
died the day of my bar mitzvah, I would be so pissed.
Oh
Yeah.
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 Well, this is my question. Was William Kaplan gay before Billy took over his body, or was he just like a little straight Jewish kid?
Interesting.
Hmm.
Because we don't really know if he only became gay after Billy, because it's more Billy's consciousness just inside this body, but I guess he retains some things about William Kaplan. It's not really clear. And he
Well,
doesn't.
I believe in nature over nurture over supernatural, so I don't follow any of that.
Now we really
Yeah,
need to rewatch it. It's like how gay was he before?
right.
Not sure.
But and then the big reveal. So they're doing these different witches trials. Again, so we have the music episode, which is Alice's trial. They have a jam session together. Everybody loves it.
Wait,
70s.
what song do they sing?
Oh, the Witches Road, the
Well,
ballad,
what's that
right?
song? I've never
Yeah, how
heard
does
it.
that go?
Uh,
I would you get a
you know
weird
how.
practical demon effect in that. It was kind of neat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And like
yeah,
there's some
stuff
like
on fire.
yeah, there's some
yeah.
cool
It's
scary moments
okay.
in this that I liked with effects and stuff. The Ouija
Hmm.
board too was cool. Um,
Oh yeah, I like the sleepaway camp vibes. Like that was
yeah.
the 80s,
So
slasher
we have the
camp.
we have the music episode, which is Alice's trial. We have
Hmm.
the Ouija board summer camp. That's Agatha's trial,
Hmm.
and then the House of Swords tarot card thing. That's Lilia's trial, and that was my
Right.
Right.
favorite episode. Again,
Hmm.
Lilia flashing around different periods of time. And the way that episode is written and everything's revealed is so good.
Yeah.
And I think Patty Lupone was killing it with the acting as that character, and I thought that was a really strong episode.
Playing the Jennifer Kale stuff in reverse, that each time we're back with her, the first one is her going, wait, I need to tell you that...
Or am I kooky?
Yeah, that's right. No, when she says, I need to tell you that Billy's Wanda's son, and she's like, yeah, you've told me that. And then we see her with her last interaction learn that fact. I thought was so brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is like, really strong.
But when she's telling, so basically Alice, the protection witch, at one point tries to protect Agatha, and Agatha steals her power either consciously or unconsciously, right? And ends up killing Alice. So that's our second death in the Coven, of Alice getting her power drained out of her by Agatha and killed. And then they're like, everyone's mad at her, obviously.
Right.
And so Lily is trying to warn her about that, remember? And it shows the flashbacks in order, which is really neat, where she's like, wait, don't try to, and then it cuts, and then she says, save Agatha, right? So that was pretty interesting.
She says, save Agatha to Agatha, who goes, that's a great plan.
I love that plan. Yeah. No, that was very clever.
Yeah. And then, of course, so we have the different trials. Lilia ends up sacrificing herself at the end of that episode. Then we get the
room where you have to grow something. We have just 3 people remaining. It's Billy, Agatha, and Jen.
Jen is the last witch that hasn't died yet of the Coven, other than Agatha and Billy. By this point, it's revealed that he's Billy Maximoff, so we know that. What we don't know is the big reveal in this episode, which is that number 1, the Witch's Road isn't real at all, and 2, he actually created it through his power subconsciously, and it's all an illusion that he created. And
full stop.
So pretty cool.
No, and
it's not an illusion. He changes reality.
Right, but it's like his mom with WandaVision, where she created this whole town, or created this sitcom town or whatever. So he created all that with his power. So it's implied that he's just very strong and doesn't even realize that he's very strong with magic.
Yep. And I like this a lot, because as he's kind of figuring that out, he's like looking at all the stuff in his room. It's like the labyrinth, where like everything you see in the labyrinth is like stuff that's on her shelves and whatever. Like I thought that was a nice touch.
He's got a Lorna Wu poster and everything. And then even in the flashback, we see he's met all the different witches at one point, and like Lilia is revealed the one who put the sigil on him in the first place, because she's through time travel, knows what's going to happen, so she knows she has to do that. And it was at his bar mitzvah, right? So he met her, doesn't remember it, but so it ends up just with Jen gets out because she fulfills her
well, Agatha bound her. She doesn't do her trial. Agatha does the Green Witch trial by getting a plant to grow.
Yeah, but Jen realizes that Agatha was the one that bound her, and then is able to be released, and then sort of disappears because she accomplished her
goal.
She learned her lesson.
It's maybe the most cathartic part of the series, is seeing her fly away after she crawls out of the dirt.
Yeah, and she's the final girl of the show, you could say.
She is, and she is a character from the comics, right? Like I think she'll be back.
Yes.
Okay, I gotta find a name.
Yeah, did I call him Hell Rider earlier? He's a big part of Ghost. She's a Ghost Rider character.
Ghost Rider.
Did I say Hell Rider?
Hellraiser.
Yeah, I'm gonna find it, but by time. I wish I had more time. Then when they say they wish, things happen often. Jennifer Kale. Yes, Legion. She's in the Legion of Night, Midnight Suns. There you go. So
Midnight Sun. We love it.
Notable alias Witch Woman. That's what I'm describing. That one.
Fantastic.
Okay.
But Agatha. So let's talk about. I guess let's talk about the finale, episode 9, where we see the flashback to Agatha in sort of the Salem witch trial era, and we see her plot the whole time is basically, first of all, she created the ballad. It was a sort of a nursery rhyme that her and her son sang together. That sort of gained a legend of its own, where other witches took it up and were like, wait, maybe there is a Witch's Road. So it became a legend. So she knows there's no Witch's Road because she invented that song. But then
She invented viral marketing.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the first viral song ever.
Ever.
And then we find out that her whole con is that she gathers a coven of witches and makes them sing this song to try to open the road, and then eventually they get so annoyed with her that they attack her.
What? It didn't work?
Their power.
You guys all suck.
Bunch of bitches. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
That's her.
So she's done this many times throughout the era and killed many witches and stolen their power.
What a catty witch.
The ultimate con. She's a grifter, right?
You neg? Is that what that term was?
Yes,
You neg all these
she
women?
negs them until they attack her.
Yes.
You worst witches I've ever worked with.
Yeah. Witch, please.
So the big reveal of it all was that was her. She never intended to do the Witch's Road for this whole show. She just wanted to kill these other 3 witches at the beginning. That was all she wanted to do, is steal their power.
So when you're saying it's so sad that Deborah Jo Rupp died, no, as Agatha points out, actually, Jen survived. So you actually saved a life, because I was going to kill every one of these women, and you're like, okay, I guess that's a good way to look at it.
Which is just funny because it just paints the whole interaction in a different light, where it's like, yeah, she always just wanted to kill these characters. She never cared about.
So before we get to all this, because we're kind of wrapping up the plot of it, the Salem 7, I want to remind people these characters existed. They got killed in the room by Lila, the psychic lady. She dropped the swords on them. She killed everybody, right?
Yeah.
So when they're wiped off the board, again, because you're talking about these twists, Jacob, I am like, okay, well, there's got to be more going on. Because also, I thought it was 8 episodes. I did not realize it was 9. So I also kind of thought we were closer to the end than we were by that point.
Right.
And we knew the death stuff already. But then, so they're not the big bad.
They're sort of a red herring.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
They are the red herring of the series. I would say intentionally written that way. But the reveal is that it is kind of Death is the final bad guy, and that she's the person that our heroes have a fight with at the end. But even that, again, I would say is not entirely true. And so is this all intentional to kind of play with the Marvel formula, or is this where I'm kind of just seeing some strings of like, oh, did it really kind of know what it wanted to be the whole time? I don't know. I'd like your guys' opinion, actually.
I don't know. I mean, with Death, obviously Death is not good or bad, but it's just sort of inevitable. It's nature, right? We're all going to die one day. Mortality. So you can see Death as a villain if you're trying to escape death, and obviously Agatha throughout the show like just wants to not die, basically, and the whole mystery is like, why are you so against dying? Basically, you've lived hundreds of years. And the reveal is that she can't face her son who's dead, so she doesn't want to see her son again because she doesn't know how to face him, basically.
Right. That's why she didn't want to do the Ouija board too, Jacob. And we heard them pronounce it Ouija.
Right.
We got a Ouija. It's not
right.
a verb.
I noticed that.
Boy, you guys beat me. There we are.
So we did it.
Ouija.
But the final confrontation, you read it as, because Death is like, I'm taking one of you. You know, it's like, we'll have a big. Death wants one last dance with Agatha, fully powered, just to make her happy. But she's like, if you give me Billy, I'll let you live. So at the end, it's really, what does Agatha do? Because Billy tries to defend her from Death because he's now kind of grown close to her. But then it's like, will she betray him and like let him die or not? So the real villain is Agatha, and like, what choice does she make?
And that's her ultimate redemption, is that she does eventually sacrifice. It's kind of weird the way it's laid out there, because it's at first she's like, okay, take him, and starts walking away. And then Billy says, like, is that what you did to your son? And that's what she stops. And that's when she's like, you know what, I will sacrifice myself for my new son, Billy. And then we get the kiss of death, very gay kiss of death. And then Agatha dies and she becomes a ghost, which again, in Marvel Midnight Sun, she's a ghost. In that because Wanda killed her accidentally in a magic accident.
Is that what it says?
Wow.
In Marvel Midnight Suns, it's a whole thing where Wanda has to get over that she accidentally killed Agatha. Wow. And Agatha just kind of hangs out in the library in your home base in this abbey. but again, she's a good character in that, so maybe she has different characterizations throughout.
Well, she kind of becomes good-ish now in this, where she's kind of implying that she's going to be like ghost fairy godmother to Billy.
Yeah.
Right.
She's got the canon white hair now.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
So we
right.
see her ghost form, and Billy's still kind of conflicted because he's like, you're still like a bad person, but
Yeah.
and is
So
she just a ghost because she doesn't want to pass on and again reunite with her son in heaven or
I would
whatever?
say explicitly because of that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
When they use magic, Wanda and Billy get like the coolest outfits possible. Meanwhile, Agatha looks like she puts on like 30 layers of old-timey clothes, which must
Looks like
feel
wearing
so uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about Billy's suit, which I thought looked great.
Crown looks
as
amazing.
Wiccan. Yeah, I was like really into that. And then obviously he's gonna reappear in Young Avengers or whatever, right? He's gonna meet up with
Who
the
we
rest
got?
of the Young Avengers.
We got little Hawkeye.
We got little Black Widow.
We got little Black Widow.
We got Miss Marvel.
We got Miss Marvel.
We got America.
Oh, yep.
Chavez.
A character I would not have remembered until
Oh,
you said
Multiverse
that.
of Madness. We do have
absolutely,
Chavez.
absolutely.
I thought you were saying
knows Billy's mom.
Yeah.
I thought, yeah. Oh wow, he does. What about young Captain America? We have one of those cooking, right?
Well, we've got
we have the grandson or whatever.
New Captain America. Yeah.
But we also have young Captain America.
I feel like we got a young one on deck.
We've got young Hulk, right? We've got Son of Hulk.
Oh no.
Yeah.
As revealed.
We got Son of Hulk. Oh, Mike. We got a little Ant Girl.
Oh, we
got
do.
Ant Teen.
Ant Teen.
Now, I was reading online, some people are saying the problem with all these young Avengers now is that they all kind of have the same personality, and Marvel's not doing enough to differentiate these young sidekick characters, and they're all going to come across as like the quippy,
Snark.
young side.
Snark is the whole thing. Yeah, absolutely.
So that might be a problem, but I did like Billy in this. So I would like to see him interact with some of these other young Avengers, I guess. And once we get Tommy, I guess there'll be a new show about getting Tommy back or something. I don't know.
Oh
yeah, it's called Tommy Knockers by Stephen King.
Dang, I was going to call it Wiccan Smot.
Wiccans.
So we did meet. I just got to confirm this. We did meet Elijah Bradley, is like the nephew of Sam, who is Patriot eventually.
Oh, right.
But anyway,
so
but those reveals,
people,
I did bring it back to that. Like that was what made the show work. Like when we find out there was no Witch's Road, and it was all like an invention of Billy's mind. Like you're like, holy shit! Like it really does pull into question everything you'd seen up to that point, and it's like, again, really good writing.
The credits, every credit is basically his bedroom, showing you all the posters and things that are going to be.
Yes. Obviously, he was obsessed with the ballad and finding the Witch's Road, and so episode 6 is his flashbacks. Episode 7 is the Lilia episode. Then episode 8 is the end of the road, and then episode 9 is Agatha's flashbacks that reveals everything once and for all. So
that it was Agatha all along.
That last run of episodes really made the show for me as well. Yeah.
Do we want to say 2 words about Ralph Boner?
Oh yeah, Ralph Boner does show up.
Yeah, that was
great.
Yeah, that's the cameo I was talking about earlier. Evan Peters, who did appear in WandaVision in a cameo, shows up again. I thought that was a fun callback. Again, I think the show it's struggling because it's like it doesn't know if it wants to be like it wants to be its own thing, but it also has all these connections to WandaVision, and obviously WandaVision becomes a really important part of the plot with Billy and everything.
And
but again, I thought it was
too.
and I thought it was at its strongest when it wasn't reminding me of WandaVision.
Right. And he's like kind of, that's when Billy, who we don't know it's Billy yet, is trying to figure out what's going on in Westview or whatever. So he finds Ralph Boner on Reddit or whatever.
Yeah.
And they meet up in a shady parking lot. Yeah.
Coven of Chaos, that name makes sense for this. The Darkhold Diaries, you have to wonder, speaking of stuff tied to WandaVision, was that just like so much bigger at one point? It's not
They probably didn't know what they wanted to do with the Darkhold, because the Darkhold was destroyed in Multiverse of Madness, right?
Who knows?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What a wonderful question you just asked us, Jacob. I'll ponder it the rest of the night.
That's the problem with a connected universe, right? Like this, where you can have certain things in Multiverse of Madness affect the plot of this, right? Because obviously, Wanda dying is a big plot point that we have to acknowledge.
Sure.
So that's part of just being a connected universe.
It is funny to think about that Rick and Morty writer guy who wrote Multiverse of Madness saying, well, I've never watched WandaVision. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
like-
interesting. I mean, Sam Raimi's probably never watched WandaVision.
He admitted it. He's like, I've never seen that. They gave me a quick summary of what happens. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
You have someone like Kevin Feige who's overlooking it all and trying to make it
but
all fit
it's a
together.
show about their villain. They should have had to watch it.
Yeah.
We're giving
I don't
you
know.
$20 million. Watch the episode.
There was COVID. We all had time. We all had time to watch things.
If I'm getting paid that much money and I can't be bothered to watch 9 episodes of a program, come on.
Yeah. Well, you can't question Sam Raimi though. Or can you? I don't know. But the Evan Peters thing, I will say, it's funny to remember his cameo in WandaVision was sort of a very funny red herring of, are we introducing the X-Men into the MCU? And then finally years later we have it with Deadpool versus Wolverine.
People did not like it, remember?
I did. I thought it was really funny.
His name was Ralph Boner.
They wanted Evan Peters Quicksilver, who's probably one of the most popular X-Men from that run.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Right.
I gotta just say, I have some Young Avengers comics that kind of star Wiccan. Not a character I like. I've never had Quicksilver comics. He's the character I like the most out of this family. I believe I pointed out in our WandaVision episode, when I would read comic books as a kid or play the first Ultimate Alliance game, and you'd get the bio breakdown where they'd say, Wanda Maximoff, okay. Mutant ability, magic. I'd be like, nope, that doesn't work. Laser beams, claws, teleportation, I'll take any
the ability
of it.
to do magic could be a mutant
But
power.
it was at this time before the chaos stuff, so they didn't lean too.
Right.
Like I remember X-Men Legends was like she has her mutant ability is to affect the probability of matter and dimensions around her. Where I was like,
It's magic.
Well, of course,
mutant abilities, magnetism, psychic. These are things you can do.
but she, of course, in the canon of
magic.
Marvel Comics, her and Quicksilver are the children of Magneto.
Yes.
Right.
So that's not in
Sometimes.
the MCU, obviously. Yeah. So they kind of had to retrofit certain things, right? And even Quicksilver, remember the original Quicksilver, Aaron Taylor Johnson in the MCU.
Yeah. Ultron.
Yeah.
We hardly knew ye.
We hardly knew you. Now he's Craven the Hunter. He's moving on up, you know?
Oh, Jacob, why would you say that? Why would you hurt us like this in the
Don't
11th
summon
hour?
that.
Raven the Hunter. How dare you?
Of course, he's part of the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
Everyone's favorite team up.
I guess, well, I want to talk about the magic stuff real quick, because it is we have the Darkhold and all this kind of spooky sided stuff, and we know that like Blade is never going to happen. Like, are they going to ever do a Midnight Suns? Like, this spooky side of the MCU, like, is it DOA or what?
Mike, flash your Moon Knight tattoo when you ask that question. Hell yeah.
Is the spooky side
That's a
dead
great question,
or what?
Mike.
Yeah.
I know. So,
Werewolf by
Midnight
Night?
Suns, in that game I played, I know one of the members, Nico Minoru, was in The Runaways, which was an MCU show that got canceled after like one season, I think.
What this game has done to you that you will say things to annoy me like Magic and Nico Minoru are my two favorite Marvel characters. I'm like, what are you saying?
I think they could do more with the magic side of things, though. I mean, obviously this show, but
yeah,
obviously we're going to see more of Wiccan.
It just it's hard because the first Doctor Strange movie, they made the choice to make magic a form of martial arts that looks like lightsabers meets Harry Potter, right? Like it had to be this thing, and you go, so what is it? What does it do? What? So you can do anything
Depends
with it?
on
They're
what
like,
color
yes,
your magic is.
It doesn't matter. It's just beams and stuff. And in this, when Billy says, "I want to be a witch," because I want real power, I want to levitate things, I want to shoot energy beams, and I want to make shields, he says.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, what the fuck is magic? And then later when you see every character do those things, all these characters that just shoot, little things of lightning at
Energy out of their
Agatha,
hand. That's what
and then
magic is.
she basically, Catherine Hahn reads in the script, oh, just have an orgasm? I can do
Yeah,
that.
dude.
Oh! And you're
She's
just
like,
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But what
She's
is
like
that?
Palpatine when
It is.
he shoots the lightning.
How
Or he-
day.
Yeah, nice. That's good.
I love it. But I don't know. I mean, Billy, he kind of has the same powers that Wanda had, except he's blue instead of red, right?
And I will remind you out loud, Catherine Hahn did say in that series, you fulfill the prophecy, you are the Scarlet Witch. What is that? What is
wow.
that? Why does Billy do the same things as her?
I don't know. You
What
should
can
write
a
the-
Scarlet Witch
I
do
do
that
know.
a Green Witch or these other witches can't?
Oh yeah, what is that? I don't know.
Well, her
man.
thing is that she's Scarlet, so Agatha, she got her purple back, and so that's why she was able to have her purple. But I don't know.
Oh, man.
Well, let me ask you this. So obviously,
Let's not answer that and move on.
Yeah, you can write to Kevin Feige. Maybe he'll answer you.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't.
That's the big secret about the MCU is they don't really have a plan for any of this, and any of this can change on the fly, and they just kind of have to make it fit together, and that's the thing about it. But that's just how it has to happen, right?
There is no MCU. It's like there is no Witch's Road. Like that's the
Yeah.
secret. There is no
I'm
MCU.
Billy.
With
This
Thanos-
is my ghost mentor, Catherine Hahn, and we're here to team up with Ant-Man and new Captain
Florence
America
Pugh,
and
yeah.
Lady Thor and Florence Pugh, and you're going down, Kang the Conqueror. What's that? That's not happening?
Oh, it's Doctor Doom.
Robert Downey
Um,
Jr.
He's fired. It's Robert
Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr.
If that has never been uttered before right now, Marvel, you can write me a check.
Yeah.
That was a good joke.
Mike will be getting
I
paid
love
for
it.
that joke.
But the thing is, even with Thanos, the lead up to Infinity War and Endgame, they didn't know what they wanted to do. When they first released, when Thanos first appeared as an end credit scene and said, fine, I'll do it myself. They had no idea what that was going to look like in 5 years. It just kind of worked out, and people think, oh, it's so well planned out now, but it really wasn't. And I think that's kind of where things can go off the track sometimes with the MCU.
And it's just taking longer and getting bigger.
Yeah.
And that makes it
Mhm.
derail more and more, dog.
And after Endgame,
Yeah.
they just got Endgame. Infinity War and Endgame was so focused on, what was happening that after that, they're like, well, now we don't know what we want to do with this universe. And it kind of just goes in all these different directions now.
I hope, here's what I want to see going forward. I like Jack Schaefer, the person who wrote this and
Well-
WandaVision a lot. I would like to see
Yes.
her get another show or stay in this corner of the universe and have like the super gay side of Marvel. I don't know.
Right,
if
why
that's,
not? This is
like,
what I
the
wanted to
thing,
ask.
The
but-
Fabulous Four.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys this. So Jack Schaefer made this show, made WandaVision. Which one do you like better as a season, as a full season? WandaVision or this?
I mean, WandaVision has killer writing. I think that
Yeah.
show is like astounding. I just think this is much more watchable because they both have the weakness that they're like, we're tricking you with these early episodes. Isn't this a
Yeah.
trick? And you're kind of like, no, just do what your fucking premise of your show is. So
I think
wish
I
you'd
like
stop
this.
doing that.
I think I like this better because WandaVision, I think, maybe got worse when it was revealed what was happening to me, where I got less interested in the show, whereas this show I got more interested in the show. So I'll say
Right.
this one ends stronger, but WandaVision started stronger.
Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I think by the end of WandaVision, even though like the beginning's good, yeah, it just became a Marvel show with two of the same powers shooting lasers at each other. It was like, here we go
Yeah.
again, the evil
Really
version of
did,
you.
yeah.
And then this, when it
And-
ended, made the whole show beginning half stronger. So this has a way better
Yeah.
ending, and so I think it's
Well-
more fulfilling in that sense.
I agree with you, Mike, in that it seems a very active decision to go, well, let's have that weird everybody shooting lasers episode at each other be the one before we end it so we can actually be like an adult show that has like conversations and like, you
Mhm.
know, setups and payoffs and
Yeah.
yeah.
I think, on the other hand, I think Wanda in WandaVision is a better character than Agatha because, first of all, we have a history with Wanda from the Avengers movies and stuff, so we kind of know more about the character, and then what she's going through with the death of Vision and all this stuff. she's doing obviously a bad thing by controlling these townspeople, but you understand why she's doing it, and she kind of has to come to terms with what she's done and stuff by the end of it. So she had a really good arc on
They'll
WandaVision.
never
I think.
know what you sacrificed. Remember when Lashana Lynch says that, and you're like,
Yeah.
what?
But
Mhm.
then on the other hand, like her story gets finished in that movie, Multiverse of Madness. So it's kind of
Does
weird
it?
that they. Well, she
Yeah, I
dies,
guess.
I guess, but she kind of
Yeah.
reverts because she becomes a villain. So she had all this growth
I don't know.
by the end of WandaVision.
I don't
just
like to
become
think
a
about
more
that movie.
a villain.
Yeah. But she does become, she's a kidnapper in, Multiverse of Madness, basically.
Yeah.
Not my
Well, she's
Wanda.
the antagonist of that movie, right?
Yeah,
Basically.
she kills Professor X.
Yeah.
Right?
Kills John
Ah.
Krasinski.
Crazy
Oh,
sentence
man.
to say.
Yeah, right. She kills Anson Mount. So I wonder
That's right.
if watching Agatha and you kind of knowing the reveal about her son that she lost and stuff, like then if you were to start WandaVision, does it improve WandaVision Agatha scenes, knowing that like all she's trying to do is maybe find a way to get power to get her son back by manipulating Wanda? I don't know.
But on the other side, she's not like she's always just wanted to kill witches and steal their power, like even before her son died, right? So she's always just been power hungry.
Can I just, since we're
Right.
right at the end here, can I just super shout out 2 awesome scenes?
Yeah.
Which are exactly what you're saying, Jacob. The scene where she says to her son, "Get used to this feeling," and you can see how much it upsets him. And when she says that again to Billy, and Billy's like, "I will never get used to this feeling." And then the other scene that I fucking loved, the possession thing with Tommy, when we watch Billy do it, and he says, "Am I taking this boy's life to save my brother?" And Agatha's like, "You're making
You
a
care?
choice." Yeah, it's
And
like, yeah,
I do
exactly.
care.
It's like that's you're being a witch, and that's what being a witch is, or something like
Right.
that. Fucking rules.
Yeah, that was really strong.
And even when we see the flashback of her with her son, and he's like, "Do we have to kill witches like every day?" And she's like, "Yeah, we do, because I want to take their power." So on the one hand, like Agatha's interesting because like you do want her to be redeemed, but at the same time, she's never like she's still unabashedly like, "Yeah, I kill witches and steal their power. Like, I'm sorry, but that's who I am."
She's
Like,
kind of the Joker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Loki. But yeah, until
Like,
the
she's so
final
crazy.
yeah, until she wants to save Billy, she's that witch, you know what I mean?
She's looking out for herself, number
She's that
one.
witch.
Yeah. So you can't really redeem her until she kills herself, basically.
Yeah.
For lack of a better
But she's
term.
still done all those bad things. I don't know if she feels bad about it, really, but
Well, she felt bad enough to at least not want to sacrifice one more teen. She reached her limit and was like, you know what? Maybe enough's enough. And now I'll be a mentor. I'm still a mass murderer, but now I can be a mentor.
and that's what's so surprising too, when it seems like Teen's gonna die when they're on the witch's road, and she is like surprisingly emotional and trying to save him, right?
Mhm.
So that's kind of maybe foreshadowing that like she's not willing to, let him die.
3 of Swords. And she's like notably hurt when Rio says like he's not yours. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, she is an interesting character. But it's Agatha all along.
Well, this is a question of like, who really asked for an Agatha show? She was sort of a standout supporting character in WandaVision. I liked her when she showed up, but at the same time, I was like, I don't really know what it's going to be about. But then it ends up like, this is better than I expected as a show. And so I guess that's all you can ask for. But I
There's
guess we
all
should move
this
on now.
reactionary stuff that comes out where we just got the budget breakdown of how much money Antverse, the Antimania
Quantumania,
actually
yeah.
made. Yeah.
Quantumania.
Where it was something like $80,000 is what it grossed profit-wise, which if you're trying to make those movies, that's not what you're trying to do. And the thing they keep talking about is the ballooning budgets. And people keep pointing to the success of Agatha, saying, yes, it seems more niche, but you have to understand every one of these episodes was made for, I believe, under like $6 million or something like that. Like it's a remarkably cheap budget.
And it looked good for not like That's what I don't understand. Is like, why do these other shows
Yeah.
cost so much when this one looks just as good, if not better, than like The Acolyte?
I watched one of those
Yeah.
Disney making ofs. It had Patty LaPone being like, "Here we were showing up to set for the first day. We're all on the road, and it is a real road. There is a green screen
I
in the
assume they
back, but
use
there's a
like
bunch
the
of
volume
trees and
for
stuff.
backgrounds and
But
stuff.
there are
But-
props, there are physical
Yeah.
sets. So
Like the Star Wars stuff does look like you have one rock and then the
Right.
volume. Like this
Yeah.
was a lot better.
Yeah, I did like the sets. I liked like there's
The
some horror
interiors.
elements with the effects where it actually
Yeah.
does get scary at times, which I liked.
yeah, Mike, that scene in The Acolyte where they land on the jungle planet and they all walk up to the edge. I'll never get over that. And them going like,
Ever.
look at how deep the jungle is. It's gonna be hard to find her. And you're basically looking at like, an overhead projector your teacher would use, like coloring it with vis-a-vis markers.
Right.
You're just like, oh.
Which meanwhile in
Horrible.
this we get Rio just walking up to the wall and literally cutting open the set wall and
That was
stepping
good.
out of the
Yes.
scene. That was so cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
again, this show, I mean, moving into final thoughts, right?
Yeah, I guess we can do that.
Let's do that right now.
Yeah. Let's cut open this. Yeah, I'll step through the set wall here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Once we start talking about America Chavez and Patriot, I think we're
Yeah.
lost in the
That's
weeds.
how you know you're wrapping up. Which is exactly what we're doing here on Normies Like
Mhm.
Us, as we are talking Agatha all along.
All along.
Mhm.
We've
It was
finished
Agatha all along.
walking the witch's road, walking the
Down,
witch's
down
road.
the witch's road.
The Witches
Do-do.
Roadie Road. Yep. Wow.
We love the ballad. Of course, we all know that it's called The Ballad by Lorna Wu. Most
Yep.
famous version, of course.
I like these. My parents saw her at Red Rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys.
Classic.
Yeah.
She said her fans were her coven,
That's right. That's
special
right.
bond
She
that they all
she's
shared.
like a witch.
It is
Yeah.
special.
Yep.
But again, this show. Now, here's something interesting to me too. Like the weird online right wing people who hate everything that has women and minorities in it and stuff.
Right.
I was surprised to find that I didn't really see them kind of going after this show that much.
Yeah. It just
compared
doesn't
to like
seem like
something
it
like The
exists,
Acolyte.
dog. Yeah, I would agree with you.
Well, maybe
It's got its fan base online, but it's definitely seems more niche. But there are people that are like really into it, I think, but maybe it's more of a cult hit.
I think it's a cult hit. Also, those guys probably think if you watch this, it will make them gay, or those people. So
Yeah,
they're
I'm sure they
scared of
don't
it.
like it, but I don't see them going
Yeah,
as hard
but to
against
Jacob's point, literally you could imagine the Tucker Carlson headline of Disney wants gay death to,
right.
seduce our children into
Well, if you see
witch
A gay
cult.
witch cult.
Yeah.
They're trying to
Yeah.
seduce you to be gay
These
witches.
YouTubers and people, like the way they were going after The Acolyte when that was on, the way they were going after She-Hulk when that was airing, which I like She-Hulk.
Right.
Big woman.
This show seems like a prime target of like, oh, it's got a bunch of women and gay people in it. Yeah, of course we're gonna like call it the MCU and stuff, but
Right.
maybe it just kind of flew under the radar a little bit.
I think, well, one, Agatha's not like the biggest character generally, so it's
Yeah.
not like they can't be like, you're ruining something of mine. They probably just don't care enough about,
Yeah, seems like it.
you know.
But I wanted to ask you guys, where does this rank out of all the MCU shows that
So,
you've seen? Remember
yeah.
back?
Here's
all
here's
those
how I
great
want us
shows.
to do it, Jacob, because I
Yeah.
want you to read your list, and then
Oh,
I
yeah.
want Mike to confirm which ones he has seen and not seen.
Okay, that works.
I'm surprised that I've seen them all. Every live action MCU show I've seen except Miss Marvel, which I watched the pilot of and never finished. And I'm not saying it's bad or anything. I just never got to it and,
Didn't finish it.
kind of dropped it. So nothing against Miss Marvel.
On
I
your
even saw
list.
the Marvels, and I didn't hate the Marvels either. So
Before you
Alright.
start, the next one is Daredevil, right?
Oh, really?
the
We're
worst
getting
one
into
is
Daredevil?
yeah, there's Daredevil Born Again that's coming out soon.
But I think that's the next Marvel TV show. Is
It
that
might
possible?
be. And let me ask you guys
Okay.
this: did you see this?
Okay.
They had a trailer kind of thing of different new shows that are be coming out in like the next 2 years. They had Ironheart, which may be
That's not
the
real.
least watched show of
I saw
all
the
time.
teaser for it. Yeah.
Yeah, Ironheart, if you remember from Black Panther 2. I don't feel like anyone's gonna watch that show or care about it at all. But yeah, we have Daredevil, Born Again. I forget some of the other ones, but they had a whole sort of trailer showcasing shows, upcoming shows.
Your question is, what did I think about that? I
Yeah.
did not watch it nor know about it. So yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. What if? I haven't seen What If, so I'm not including
I've seen
that.
2 episodes of the first season.
I've actually
Right.
seen both seasons of What If in their
Wow.
entirety.
Wow.
Shockingly.
Did we do a What If episode? Is that why you watched all that, Mike? Okay.
No, I think I just liked the weird other verse. Yeah, but what's the ranking, Jacob? We did not
read
do
these.
What If.
Read these shows off to us.
Yeah, I was just looking up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, upcoming. What is
slate.
going to be next?
Oh, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which I think is an animated.
Again, not real.
thing.
I don't know.
Not real, yeah.
Yeah.
Brave New
But
World.
Daredevil Born Again is coming spring of 25. Ironheart, June of 25. So those are the next 2 big ones. And then there's like Eyes of Wakanda, which I think is animated as well. Marvel.
I just read that
Zombies.
Marvel Craven the Hunter, and they're going to release it as a TV show. Wow.
We're getting 9 episodes.
Wonder Man is the other one they showcased in that, which is.
So that is.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
About that?
That is the last TV project I ever worked on. So that is my nail on the coffin.
So that's not coming out
Wonder Man.
until next December, but that is Yahya Abdul Mateen stars as Wonder Man, who is, I don't even know what this show is about, but he's an actor that plays a superhero in the MCU, and Ben Kingsley is in it as his character, the Mandarin, the fake Mandarin from Iron Man.
Mandarin.
If you remember that, yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that.
I think his name is Simon Rex Wonder Man. Is that
Wonder
possible?
Man.
Simon Williams, according to
Simon
this.
Williams. Thank you.
So,
yeah.
Who knows what that's going to be like? But yeah, Daredevil Born Again is going to be the big one next. I think that people are going to.
We did get a little bit of Daredevil and Echo, which was fun.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Should I read my ranking?
Remember
yes,
when?
Please.
Sorry, real quick. Remember when Echo ends with her getting Native American superpowers?
Oh yeah, it's like a
That's
Power
right,
Ranger
it
outfit
does.
too.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh boy, Echo
Oh man,
hasn't aged well to me in my mind. I'll just say that.
I don't even think about you. Like that's the territory we're
It
in.
is that meme, unfortunately.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Echo. Some good action scenes, but I don't even think about you.
I don't know.
Yeah. Let me read my ranking then. Number 1, I still think Loki seasons 1 and 2. I just included them together, but
1
I think
and
Loki,
2. Okay.
I couldn't really say which one's better. I don't remember 1 that well, I guess, but I thought
Not
2
at
was
this
really
point.
good. Yeah. And I just think Loki overall, it has been the best MCU streaming show, I would say.
Yeah, it's got I've seen both of them. It's my number 1, I would say too.
Got
Even if you just
interesting
group
plot,
them together.
Fun actors, Owen Wilson, a lot of metaphysical
Ki
type
Kwan in season 2.
discussions and stuff.
yeah.
That's right. Number 2 is She-Hulk, a show that I guess a lot of people didn't like, but maybe some people liked. It's more of a comedy set in the MCU, which is, I mean, a lot of them have comedic elements, but this is more, it feels almost like a sitcom, and it's about, her being a lawyer and stuff too. So
to pause
I
you
have
real
not.
quick.
Yeah.
Oh, and you have not seen that yet.
Not
Mike.
seen
That's, you
I
have
think it's
mentioned that
fun.
before.
It's fun.
It's a high recommend, Doc.
Okay.
Jacob, what I like about that show and what it just reminded me I liked about Agatha, 30-minute episodes sometimes.
Yeah, shorter episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because it's a show about her just wanting to be a lawyer, but Hulk stuff keeps coming up, so she has to deal with that.
I like that angle. That's a fun hook.
Yeah, it's a fun show.
Tatiana
Again,
is incredible.
The YouTubers, they kind of didn't like it or whatever. I guess they didn't like Tatiana Maslany. I like her, so whatever. But that's number 2 for me. Number 3, I think, is this Agatha All Along.
Wow.
My 3rd favorite Marvel streaming show. Then number 4, I have WandaVision.
Okay.
5, Hawkeye. 6, Moon Knight. 7, Echo. So here's the drop off is basically after 5 for me. So Hawkeye is the last of the ones that I kind of liked. Moon Knight, I like some things about Moon Knight, but overall it just didn't really do it for me that
Less than Hawkeye. Wow.
Yeah,
Right.
I thought I liked Hawkeye a little more, and then
You
7,
like Chris
Echo.
Evans.
8, Falcon and Winter Soldier. 9, Secret Invasion, the worst thing the MCU has ever done,
Yeah.
probably, or one of them.
Haven't seen it, won't see it.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Just thinking about it now, I just think about
Oh no.
how bad
Makes
it
me want to
was.
watch Echo again.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, yeah, and I don't like Falcon and Winter Soldier either. So it gets really bad by the end of that, where they're just like, man, I feel like I wasted my time watching this show. And I don't feel that way about Agatha All Along. So
There you go.
top half of streaming. Marvel's
Mike,
top 3.
you've seen Miss Marvel?
Nope, not seen Miss
Okay.
Marvel or the Marvels.
Okay.
Just I'm kind of, I've mentioned I've been on a little bit of burnout for Marvel anyway.
Oh yeah,
So
I'm proud
it's-
of you for that.
Yeah, it's
Me
the
too, and
hardest
I mean,
for me.
Again, I had no expectations going into Agatha All Along. Didn't know if I was going to like it. Didn't know if I was going to keep watching it. And it really just won me over. So I'll say that is just a positive in itself that I was able to, after the first episode that I didn't even like, it did win me over by the end of it. And it's now my top 3 of Marvel streaming.
Gotcha. I will say the first episode, I kind of was sad when it stopped being True Detective. I was like, I like this campy overacting. I was like, oh man, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
Like, dang it.
That's how I mean, again, with WandaVision, that's kind of how I felt after it went away from the sitcom formula, where I liked those early episodes of WandaVision where it was like a different sitcom every episode. And then once the mystery is revealed, it's just not as fun, right?
Right, but the mystery being revealed makes the whole show more fun to even rewatch.
Exactly.
So I did enjoy it. It's a real witch's brew, though. I think it could be. There's a couple characters that could be trimmed down if we weren't required to have 5 witches and 5 trials. It could be a little streamlined.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty impressed with what they did with the writing. It's just at the end of the day, I just don't give a shit. Like, I'm still out on Marvel. Like, I like Billy, I like the actor, I like this show, but I don't care. Like, I don't care anymore.
Exactly the same. I'm at the point where I was like, what a fun watch. So interesting. Immediately when it's over, I stopped thinking about it other than humming this song, which is maybe where the strength of it comes through. But I also, I don't know. I mean, would you ever watch this again, Mike? Like, that's where my answer is like, no, I will probably never see Agatha All Along ever again.
I've never rewatched any of the other ones, so
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, Billy Maximoff, good luck, but I maybe won't be seeing you. I mean, love you, do your thing.
You seem great.
But I'm busy.
So, like, it's fun to watch, but you immediately immediately leaves your mind. That's all the Marvel. That's all the MCU really has to be, and that's all it has been for me. Like the last couple of years as well, even with the movie, where it's like, watch the movie, except for the better ones like Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that. But it's like immediately I'm enjoying it while I'm watching it, but as soon as it's over, I don't think about it again, and that's just the way it has to be, I guess.
It's a Crunchwrap Supreme. I eat it. I consumed it willingly, and it was adequate.
Yeah.
But I want to throw out a term that people love to use that we have defended on this podcast to say doesn't exist. And I'm going to ask you guys, does it finally exist? Superhero fatigue. Because I know how we reacted to The Boys this season, where we were all kind of like, oh yeah, The Boys. And Jacob, you said it yourself. You watched one episode of The Penguin, and you have not found yourself returning to that thing.
I will, though. I just, I'm planning to. So I will say that. Like, I'm going to watch the second episode and everything. But I will say superhero fatigue maybe is a thing, but the thing is, like, this show is not even really about superheroes. It's about witches, right?
It's about gay witches.
It's about gay witches. And that's the thing, is
gay
like
road trip down the road. Road.
The 2 like comic book shows on right now with this and the Penguin. The Penguin is like a crime drama in Gotham. It's not about superheroes either. Like Batman's not in it. The Penguin's just a guy. So it's like, it feels like people are like, they're still making comic properties, but they're like, we're not going to make it like a traditional superhero type of thing. We're going to examine a different angle of it.
And we're not going to call him Oswald Cobblepot. I mean, that'd be crazy.
No, that's too, we have a grounded universe here.
We're not going to call her Agatha Harkness. That's insane.
Right. Oh man.
We'll call her Aggie.
Aggie.
And that's the interesting comparison with those shows is that the Penguin has been getting a lot of buzz and acclaim where people are like, oh, it's really good and stuff. I thought the first episode, like, again, I've only seen the first episode. I thought it was okay. I wasn't like immediate, like, oh, this is like The Sopranos or something. So maybe it'll win me over. But to me, it's just like, how do you make a crime show in Gotham where Batman doesn't show up at some point? Like, what's he doing?
Yeah, like how do you make a Spider-Man villain universe without a Spider-Man? What are you doing?
Right.
Are we gonna have to talk
And
about
that's
Craven?
the superhero, but Mike, that's such a great last point for superhero fatigue, and I want to hear your opinion on it.
Yeah.
Venom just made the lowest any three of them have ever made in the theaters. or
Really?
whatever.
I thought that one was
Yeah.
going to do the best out of the three. 'cause
And
it
they're
was
still
getting
saying
buzz.
number one movie in the world. Like they still get to say that even though it's not doing
And what
well.
else is out,
Exactly.
Nothing.
The
I'll
it's
tell
like
you what else
vetting
is
the
out.
substance. You're like,
The
oh my god,
substance.
Yeah.
yeah, what?
Yeah.
True. No, that's
No
it.
big,
But
no huge releases. I guess Wicked will come out soon.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
More witches.
more
am I
witch
right?
content.
What do you think, Mike?
Witch
Is
please.
there superhero fatigue?
I think
Or is there witch fatigue?
I don't think there's
Ooh,
witch fatigue.
there's not witch. There will never be witch fatigue. I don't think. It's a combination of things. I think there does exist general fatigue. Also, the quality of the products hasn't been stellar, at least on the feature film side of things. Like none of
Right.
the recent
But
movies
now
were
it-
knockouts.
Now that Marvel has slowed down their release schedule, it feels like maybe the fatigue will be ending because people are like, well, we like Deadpool and Wolverine, so we're excited for the next thing.
No, are you excited for Captain America: Brave New World?
Hell no.
That seems to be in development hell. That's the next
What a
one.
question to ask me. That is like when Adam asked you guys if you were excited for Skeleton Crew or whatever.
Yeah.
Where you both like
laugh.
literally you could hear on that episode you both go like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
Like,
you
the nearest
reminded
window.
me that existed, Mike. How
That's the
dare
next
you?
one. That's the next big
That's
release.
the next one.
Yeah.
And it has
That's gonna
Harrison
save
Ford
him.
as Red Hulk and everything.
Was
Oh,
it Red Hulk?
boy.
But no, it's gonna be terrible.
Boy.
I'm more excited for
Giancarlo
the
Esposito.
skeleton key than I am for the skeleton.
Yeah,
Crew.
so I don't think we're getting anything good for a long time, if at all. And
Yeah.
honestly, superhero
Almost Deadpool
movies.
was almost like an exception because it's Deadpool and Wolverine. But
And
otherwise,
Deadpool
people
and
are
Wolverine
still-
was not good. We want to reiterate that on this.
No, it
podcast.
wasn't good. It just had Wolverine. In
Fine.
it.
It just had Wolverine and Deadpool in it. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
The
Made
real
$1 billion.
yeah, and they'll take the wrong lessons. More old cameos.
Yeah.
Would
No.
that would seem to be
Luke Skywalker should be CGI.
Oh, geez.
no.
yeah.
Stop it. No, I think the real test will be James Gunn's Superman. Like if James Gunn's stuff that he's working on, if it doesn't move the needle, I think it's pretty much cooked. Joker 2 did bad, I think.
Well, yeah.
Joker 2? We didn't even talk
Yeah.
about. We've
Joker
got all
2.
this stuff we need to talk about.
No, I saw
Yeah.
this whole thing on the internet of like this is one of the worst years for comic book movies of all time because
That's
you had
cool.
Miss Marvel, or sorry, you had the Marvels at the end of last year. You had Madam Web earlier this year.
Web. Jacob.
did do
Madam
that one.
Web. We did a
But really,
Madam
for the
Web
all-time-
episode.
And I don't
bad
even have a
year.
Pepsi.
Joker 2 being a bomb is crazy because if you remember, Joker 1 was the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time at that point. So to go from
Wolverine.
that to its sequel being an unmitigated bomb
Mhm.
is
Who could
insane.
have foreseen it bombing? Oh, I guess I could. Madam Web.
Yeah, she saw it coming.
But I guess people didn't like that movie very much because it kind of spits on the first movie or what fans liked about the first movie, which I kind of
haven't
think is
seen it.
funny. They're like, let's make a sequel that's going to be
I
a
can't
musical with
imagine.
Lady
My brother
Gaga.
saw it. He was like, it's horrible.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
I
Well-
read the plot on Wikipedia, so I'm kind of an
Good
expert.
enough.
Yeah,
I
it's an
think-
all-time terrible. And then you have Venom 3, of course. You have Craven the Hunter coming out. You have Sony wanting to make their Sinister Six with Morbius and all these different characters.
Michael Morbius.
They followed
insane.
through with like the Universal Dark Universe. Like they just didn't.
Yeah,
They should have
we're
stopped,
making
but
the
they didn't.
Spider-Man without Spider-Man.
That's
universe.
true.
We're going to keep making the movies. You can't stop us.
And we tricked them into putting Morbius back in theaters
the greatest prank
of
we
all
ever
time.
pulled.
Yes.
Like at least
Oh my
Venom
God.
was financially successful for a while, but like Craven the Hunter, nobody's gonna see that movie, dog. Like I don't know what to tell you, Sony. Like I don't know what
No.
you're trying to do.
Oh man, they're laundering
Um,
money. They're laundering money. It's blatant.
I would
this
assume
point-
so.
It wouldn't be a surprise. It's the only
Yeah.
explanation.
So,
Yeah, I think
any,
we're cooked.
any
James
other
Gunn
final
will save
thoughts
us.
on this?
I'm a DC guy, so I'm looking forward to the.
I am looking forward to Superman. I pray that does well. Peacemaker was one of my favorite shows in the recent
Yeah.
years. I would love if season 2 did well.
Lanterns. We've gotten some news about this Lanterns show
Yeah.
that's going to be on HBO. I'm excited for that.
I guess Fantastic Four seems maybe interesting, with the cast at least, and the kind of the premise of a period movie.
Then
That's
Mike
their
said,
that's Marvel's
Robert
next
Downey
big gamble.
Jr.
Yeah. Ooh, they're scared.
Some
That
weird
bombs.
things going
If
forward.
Fantastic Four bombs and Doom, Robert Downey Doom your bombs, like I don't know what Marvel's gonna do. They might be cooked.
Because I think Brave New World's already cooked. I hear it's been like development and rewrite hell, and like they've been adding villains, so that's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
Supposedly they shot enough with reshoots to make 3 different movies.
Oh my god.
And then like you mentioned with Blade, that's in the development hell of all.
There's
hell.
only one Blade, and there'll only ever be one Blade.
If you told me that Patti LuPone put a hex on that movie, I would believe you.
Right.
Yeah.
You have Mahershala Ali, Oscar-winning actor. He's going to leave the project eventually because it's not getting made. Like the director just left, right? The new director that they
Did you
had
guys
for a while.
make fun of me the other day and let Wesley Snipes come back and say he'll be the only Blade ever?
Yeah.
They're like, we don't know what that was.
He's going to be as old as Wesley Snipes by the time this movie comes out.
Yes.
So who knows? But
Crazy.
yeah, it's pretty bad for superhero movies right now. But
And like
Agatha,
the spooky side, you would Midnight Suns with Oscar Isaac and Mahershala Ali. Like it would have been kind of neat, but it's dead.
Yeah, they could still do it. I mean, maybe Agatha All Along is going to save the MCU.
Maybe if he'll just get way more gay, then that would be great.
It'd be interesting. I wouldn't mind it. Here's the thing. When
More
this
music.
episode's over, I am going to sit in bed, hop on YouTube, and text you guys as I watch YouTube final boss battle videos of Midnight Suns, the video game Jacob keeps talking about.
yeah.
And little clips to see what that Agatha looks like. And I'll watch her
like a
dates
ghost,
or
kind
whatever
of.
they are. Yeah, but I'm sure you can social interact with. Can you branch a tree with her?
Well, she's more of a
Social
supporting
link.
character. She's not one of the
Okay.
main characters that you can fight with. So those are kind of the ones that she kind of just haunts the library. And you
She's
can,
the
go talk
staff.
to her sometimes. Yeah.
Quest giver.
But
I
if,
guess
yeah,
for-
if you can't go on a date to the library and she's like, "Oh, here's your tea."
Mhm.
Thanks, Agatha.
yeah.
Purple, my favorite.
And you
color.
gotta help Wanda to get over her death and stuff. But
Oh
Yeah.
no.
I'll just say, like, in my final thoughts too, one thing. The show is very gay, of course, and it's getting a lot of, acclaim for showing same-sex kisses and that kind of thing. I'll just say though, what was doing that 20 years ago, a little show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Look, we're not going
Hey.
to talk about the guy that created it. But back in 2002, they were doing lesbian relationships. So it's not
Immediate.
really that
Lesbian witch.
groundbreaking. Yeah,
Right?
no,
Willow's a
Willow.
witch.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. In 2002, they were doing that. So,
Nice.
Disney, they got there eventually, but I'm not going to give them too many flowers for that one.
It took him
But I do
22
like-
years to catch up.
Yeah.
Do you think Willow walked the witch's road?
Probably, yeah.
Did she play the Witch's Road on the flute at band camp? Or is that
Have
a
they
different
ever done?
franchise?
Is there any fan
Love
art
that,
of
yeah.
that Willow meeting Little Willow from the movie Willow? Since they're both witches.
the Willowverse?
Alora Dannon?
Laura Dannon. What a pull, Jacob.
nice.
Laura Dannon.
From my favorite streaming series, Willow, that I don't
No,
think
it
From
never
your favorite
existed.
streaming series, Reservoir Dogs or Reservation Dogs.
that's it.
Yes,
Laura
there we
did.
go.
But the Willow show, like I don't think it exists anymore. Like
No, they
took
pulled it.
off streaming. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
what
Crazy
we'll
what
do
they can do.
Agatha 10 years from now. So-
Right.
I don't know what the
Wow.
numbers are for this show, but I will just say, like, final thoughts. It's better than I expected. It's
Mhm.
better than maybe it should be, but I liked it almost as much as something like Loki, so I think that's high praise for it. So
Mhm.
good job.
Will you, last question to you before we get everybody else's final thoughts. Are you going to knock out Miss Marvel to just be a completionist?
I feel like the moment is past for that. I don't-
What a,
Maybe
what
I
a
will.
line read.
Wow.
The moment is past.
The
I've seen
moment
the
is
Marvels.
past her.
I
Sorry.
feel like I don't need to watch it.
That's it. It is incredible that you've seen the end of her story and you're like, nope, I don't need the rest of it.
I get it. It's fine.
Oh,
Maybe
wow.
I will if I have some time on my hands. But I got to watch
Mike?
The Penguin now. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that. Mike, any final thoughts on this? And is there any other Marvel show that maybe you'll see eventually? Do you think you'll ever
Yeah.
watch
Where does this
She-Hulk?
rank for
Jacob will
you?
keep saying.
And are there any that you haven't seen that you would be interested in
I
watching?
don't. I don't think I have any interest in seeing any that I haven't, including She-Hulk. Sorry.
Wow.
She-Hulk, you got to give it a
Okay.
chance.
I mean, maybe.
I don't know that you
Your
have to.
Andor.
I'm
You
fine
said this
with you
show was
saying
your
no.
Andor, where Colin refused to watch Andor.
Right,
Still
and I
refuses
was.
to this day.
This was my Andor, and then it turned
Yeah.
out that it is good. Yeah.
But my fear is that I watch it and I'm like, it's fine.
It's better than
It's
the
funny that you
Acolyte.
watch this other Star Wars slop like Ahsoka and stuff, but you refuse to watch the best thing that Disney has done with
Yeah.
Star Wars
I
since
do.
The Last Jedi. Probably.
Yeah,
do, I
no. I'll watch the Daredevil show or whatever, Born Again. I'll watch that. Otherwise, I like
Did
the
you watch
show.
the Netflix Daredevil?
No. No Jessica
Oh, wow.
Jones, no Iron Fist, no Punisher.
Yeah,
for
you
me.
don't need to watch those ones. Jessica Jones season 1 and Daredevil is the only things really worth watching.
Right.
You
so
know
I
what?
haven't
We're
seen any of
saying
them.
that Marvel fan Joe has not watched this series, and he's a bit of a completionist as well, but seems to have no interest in Agatha.
Yeah, he was very negative on it. He said, "They're not going to trick me again with this show," I believe he said.
That's how I
So-
feel. Not about this
But
show.
I think maybe he would like it. And I think Cassie, shout out to a friend of the show,
I think she
Cassie.
would
I think
love
she would like this show.
Wife of the podcast. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, tarot, witches,
Yeah.
that's kind of,
Yeah.
right up her alley. So check that out, Cassie, if you're listening.
Yeah.
She's not.
She's not.
Probably not.
They didn't watch it, but they listened to our episode about
Yeah.
it to get our recommendation and get all the spoilers. No, I liked it more than I thought I would, but I didn't. I'm not spellbound by it to get back into the MCU. That's it. Like,
That's
I'm
fair.
glad I had fun with it, but
The thing is for me, and I'll just say this, like, I watch it more because I just like witches and magic over that I like that it's the MCU, because that wasn't the big selling point for me.
right.
Like American Horror Story Coven is one of my favorite American
Oh,
Horror
man.
Story seasons.
Well, let me tell
Yeah.
you, when Ralph Boner was like, it was terrible. It was like I was in a body. I just was imagining him in the basement during an American Horror Story. Like, poor Ralph Boner.
yeah.
It is.
Right.
It
Well,
seems
Frankenstein.
so dumb and A to Z to be like, it's like that one thing because it's got that guy in it from that thing. But it does feel like a Ryan Murphy TV show in that it's
Yeah.
very gay and very fantastical.
Mhm.
And that show had Patty LuPone in it too.
Yes,
See,
it
look at
did.
us go. Oh,
all
I have
makes
to
sense.
shout out one thing. Speaking of Ralph Boner, when they were doing the summer camp episode, did you see Agatha's shirt? It said like Boner Family Outing '86 picture
Oh
tent.
yeah.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
very
That's
silly.
very funny.
So anyway,
So we love it. Agatha All Along. Any
Yeah.
other final thoughts? Colin, where do you rank it, Colin? Or is there any streaming shows you haven't seen that you would see MCU?
I also don't think I finished Miss Marvel. I think I watched more episodes than you, but I didn't finish it. I'm probably never gonna watch What If. I watched the last fight of Secret Invasion because obviously Jake, you were like, "This is a must see," so we have watched that. I did not watch that.
Yeah.
piece of
There's really no
garbage.
reason to go back and watch that show ever.
I can't.
messy TV.
Unless you want to see
I'm very
like,
worried
Samuel
for
Jackson,
Amelia
you know,
Clark. We
star
like
role.
Terminator, but I'm very worried for her.
Mhm.
Well, I'm worried because she's having those brain aneurysms.
Yeah, I'm worried mainly for her brain, unfortunately.
But hopefully she's
I
doing
like
well.
you very
I love
much.
it.
Please survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked this a lot. I'm going to recommend it to Cassie and Joe. I think they'd get a kick out of it at the same level Mike and I are at, where we're like, it's okay. Jacob, I really thought we were going to have a Beetlejuice going into this where,
Where you weren't gonna
we'd
like
just
it.
be on opposite ends, not necessarily one way or the other. But when you said, I like this a lot, I have problems with it, I did feel a good sense of relief. I think that's the only way to kind of watch this show is you're like, it's got some stuff wrong with it, but overall it's like a ton of fun. Like I don't know anybody
Yeah.
who wouldn't have a good time with this.
I do
so,
think Joe would like it if you gave it a chance.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta watch something and give it a chance, even if
Yeah.
it's MCU.
This one is
Yeah.
tough to be like, get to episode 3, please. Like, just get that far. Like, you really have to get through the first 2
We're
episodes. That's
telling
gonna
people
be.
that 6 is your favorite or 7 or whatever it is. It's like, well, right. That's so many, though.
Once the
Yeah,
ball
it's
gets
sort of
rolling, it's very fun, but it does take a
Yeah.
minute. But the payoff is worth, I think, the struggle. You know.
yeah. Like I said, it gets stronger as it goes on, which is sort of a backhanded compliment because it's like that means the beginning wasn't very good, but
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel. And the writing's strong, the characters are strong, so I had a good time with it.
Well, my final thought is I love Salem. I've been to it. That's why I'm wearing this
Hey.
shirt. I've gone there a couple times. I went around Halloween because my brother lives close there in Rhode Island, so you can get to Massachusetts very easily.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I would love to live
Beautiful
there.
place. Yeah.
Mm.
I took a picture, speaking of witches, outside the Hocus Pocus house. Like that, was just there. And it's, I
Yeah,
love Salem.
That's cool.
What a weird place. Why did we do that to those women?
Well,
Yeah.
we didn't.
All right.
Don't
Well,
include me.
probably some of us.
I wasn't involved. Yeah.
Protestant
I mean,
guilt.
I just watched The Craft as one of my 31 Spooktober movies, so I was very in the witch mindset. The Crucible, we all love The Crucible, of course. Our favorite Arthur Miller play. And Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I was talking to Joe. He binged Buffy in October, one of his favorite shows. He watched the whole show like as he was working in the background and stuff. So I recently have been watching random episodes of Buffy, one of my favorite shows from the 2000s, and there's a lot of witchcraft and stuff in there. So
Yeah.
I'm just very witch pilled right now.
Nice. Oh, and I guess I want to shout out too. I like that we degendered witches. Like Wiccan's like, I'm a witch. And meanwhile,
Yeah.
Harry Potter was very binary.
Harry Potter,
We should have
witches
seen
and
the
wizards.
signs.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
now knowing what we know about
Now we know, but yeah.
J.K. Rowling, but that's really more of a Rowling thing because wizards traditionally are not like the gender flip version of witch.
Right.
It's like different kinds of magic, right? There's sorcerers, there's wizards. Again, with D&D, like it's
Exactly.
different forms of magic. So
Maybe witch or warlock, but even there.
warlock, yeah,
No, but everybody can be witch. I like it.
yeah. You can be a
Why
witch.
not?
I can be a witch. Sure.
Yeah. Why not? Sand can be a witch.
You guys could never be witches. Go ahead, try to
Oh.
blast me.
Yeah.
What's the
yeah.
trick? Don't blast me.
Prove it.
Right. That's very funny. Good callback.
But we love witches.
Yeah.
We respect them, and we would never try to do anything bad to them.
All right,
All
Jacob.
witches are queens. Don't burn them.
That's right.
Well, Mike's wearing purple, so he's about to disappear into a ghost. You, of course, have your red
Easy.
hood that you need to put up right now, Jacob, as you sort of just like drift away and act like your mother.
I wish I had a crown. That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be really cool.
I just have a silly headband, but it's close
It
as I
looks
could get.
That is good. I like that.
So
All
hopefully
right.
you're watching. You need to be watching along at Normies_like_us on YouTube and all social medias and all that good stuff so that you can see these cool costumes we're wearing. I kept pulling up my Salem shirt this entire time. Anytime the place was mentioned, you'll get to see
Mhm.
that too,
That's right.
along with our beautiful faces. And it would help us a lot if you rate, review, subscribe as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Abracadabra.
Jacob, do we want to say what's next week if we've maybe decided?
Yeah. What did we decide?
What did we decide on Whatcha Reno?
That's right. We're gonna do a whatcha.
Maybe a Witcha.
cover
Maybe we could watch some
a
more witch
Witcha.
movies. Do a Witcha.
Right. So we're just what we've been seeing and
What
playing. and
would
stuff the last
what
couple
would
weeks.
Henry Cavill be able to do against Agatha Harkness? What could a witcher do
Ooh.
to a witch?
Probably behead them.
Yeah,
With a
he'd
sword.
probably do that. He'd probably do some
Um,
drugs, some special
Yeah.
concoctions, and then
But
just go
it's a
crazy.
witcher is different than a witch hunter. It's a common misconception. A witcher
witcher.
fights magical beasts and such.
Fair.
But he would actually get along with the witches. Like he gets along with.
But what would Vin Diesel do?
Vin
Oh.
Diesel would definitely decapitate them.
Oh, he's a witch hunter?
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
not
The
a
last
witcher?
witch hunter. Yeah.
Oh,
The
that's
last
right.
one.
He's the
I was
last.
gonna say.
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh. man.
But only the bad witches. Yeah. Magic.
Probably the movie I'm going to watch tonight.
The
I
last
watched
Witch
that
Hunter.
recently, a couple months ago, for the first time, and it was great. It's a great movie.
Well, I look forward to hearing your report on the next Witcha.
It's something.
That's right.
That's
Yep.
right. That's what we're doing next. Otherwise, we have been your hosts. This is the Coven of Colin Chaos.
And Mikey Maximov. I'm a witch,
And this
baby.
is The Scarlet Jacob.
Do-do-do-do.
Down, 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 we
Down
go.
the road,
Down the
down
ridges
Down the
the
weird
road.
road.
Bye.